Hey everybody, welcome to Fauna Radio. I'm not looking at the camera right now.
No, but you can record me in this.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're on. You're on right now.
Yep.
Everyone's on right
we're
now.
all on.
Yeah.
We're all on.
Handy Dandy's. Let me take one of these headphones off. Handy Dandy's filming some B-roll right here. See
B-roll time. I love
Getting-
B-roll.
It's not, it's. How's my mic? Everything good?
Yeah, you sound great.
That's why I like StreamYard. StreamYard does auto mic leveling too.
Yeah, the only thing I had to do was when you come in on StreamYard, obviously it wants to grab your webcam and all the stuff on your system. So you got to hurry up and figure out how to change your microphone, because I need that Barry White. I need to throw a little bass at you. So I need to get the other mic going, like Andrew.
Oh, like this right here. See?
Yeah. Yeah. So it was quick. I did it without Handy Dandy. That's worth something, right?
Well, you're stepping up then, huh?
Yeah.
Learning a little bit.
Learning.
It's been a crazy week, boys. Thank you for having me on. Sorry, I was just we made it on time, but
we did.
Boy, I was pushing it. I don't know how people do this, but I'm sure you watch people on YouTube that do like the lifestyle vloggers or whatever, where they record, I made a sandwich, I made coffee, I have to go to the toilet, I'm going to go take a nap, right? So I had this stupid idea to film a week in the life of Luna Geckos. So since I started it Monday morning, like, this is awesome. Got the rig and the cameras, and I've been lugging a camera around with me everywhere for, 5 days now. It's exhausting. I don't know how they do it.
It's going to be an hour video.
It's going to take me like 40 hours to edit it, because there's a couple times where I'm holding, you're holding the camera on a stick, and then I sit it down and I clean gecko bins, and I come back an hour later and it's been recording a ceiling fan for an hour. So
That sounds like me.
yeah, well, it's going to take me forever to edit it, but you're right. It might have to be a 2-part miniseries.
Yep.
That's my biggest issue when I do YouTube is I record it. The recording is not the hard part. It's sitting down and editing it. Edit video, just because you're like, oh, that looks good. Oh, wait, I canceled that one because I should just put raw footage up one time of an hour. I'll clap like 6 times in it. I'll snap my fingers saying, hey, that's a mark.
Are you recording? You're recording your audio and your video on separate tracks, and you got to line them up?
No, but yeah, I have that. If I'm out because I use like 4 or 5 cameras.
Right.
I do photography, so when I'm out in the wilderness, I'll have like camera set up, and I'll just record with the recorder. And I should just do it. I should just put it up. I have like 4 cameras, and I'll wave like this, and that will be my marker. And I'll like scream or say hello.
Yeah. I want to get one of those. I want to get one of those things like they used to use.
Yes. Many people don't know that's for syncing audio and video.
Yeah, that's right. So we don't have one of those.
Yep.
So I have to clap. I do 3 claps. So you get those 3 big spikes.
Yep.
And that's how we line up our audio, and then we're good to go the rest of the way. We used to record single track where everything was being recorded on my phone, and then I had a lav mic. So it was all coming in. It was already synced, right? They weren't separate.
Yeah.
And hold on, I got some direction from Handy Dandy. She wants me to go up a little bit more.
You guys get all technical with stuff. When I did a daily vlog every day for 2 years straight. All I did was use my phone.
Yeah. Well, that's how I started, but then the video quality wasn't that great, and so now we have separate mics, separate cameras, and it just it makes editing that much harder. But
yes. But you can do voice overlay. You can do voice overlay. It's pretty easy.
Yeah. Well, I'm known around here as One Take G, Gary. We don't ever
man.
One of these days we'll release bloopers. I start cussing. I'm like, get the freaking one take my. Yeah.
It's always the gecko though. It's the gecko's fault.
Wally.
Well,
Wally
they tell
wants
you
to
never
know how you record your
Oh, we got
your audio.
About that.
never work with animals and children, and we do both. So there's a problem. We are using well, it depends on the scene, or I mean, it depends on the setup. So like right now, I have a Yeti Blue mic like right here above me. So for lives, I'm using this Yeti. I have what's that lav called?
I have no idea.
It's right there, babe. We have a lav.
You like the Yeti?
Sarasonic.
I do like the Yeti. I have this when I'm recording with my iPhone. So this is a wireless lav transmitter, and the lav plugs into that, goes on my shirt, and then that piece just plugs right into your iPhone as the receiver. And then we just got I think Gary, I saw you using one of those big Rode mics.
Yep.
Yeah, I just got one of those, and I have it set up on a boom. So if we're filming a scene where I'm moving around, we're using a boom that's just kind of over me.
I like the Rode because it's good for the GoPro. I got my GoPros out.
Which one?
And it actually works really good with the M50, which Wally uses. I believe he still has the M50.
Like
That Rode mic works really good for that. And then I have just it looks like a big Hershey bar that has two mics coming out of it. I forget the brand it was.
We got this thing too. So this is like our portable rig. Like if we're, at a reptile show or something, this all goes on here. So this little, what is this called? Movo, a little Movo mic going into an H1N recorder.
Yep.
And then a Sony. What is this Sony?
100. It's an RX5.
RX5, something like that. I don't know. I don't know anything about that stuff.
RX 105.
RX 100V.
We'll have to get him an R5 or an R6, a Canon R5 R6. Get that rig going with like a nice 22 millimeter lens. And
we got a Canon laying around here, but I don't think it shoots in HD, and I look so much better in HD.
It definitely shoots in HD. He thinks because I bought it years ago that it's old.
It's old. It's older than me. I think it takes on like film still.
It's a T3i Rebel, yes.
Yeah, it's an old Rebel.
Okay. So the Rebel series is fine.
Happy Friday, happy 4th of July weekend.
Oh yeah.
Hope everybody's gonna do something fun with friends and family this weekend. Enjoy themselves a little bit.
I'll be off the 4th. I don't know what I'll be cleaning geckos in the morning.
Yeah, I just powered through. Normally I break it up into 3 or 4 days, but because I'm doing this, epic Gone with the Wind mini series, I
can't wait for that now.
Geez. I powered through cleaning 2 days. I did about 10 hours yesterday, about 8 hours today, and I am 100% done for the week. It kind of feels good.
You want to come do mine?
No. You know what? It's never fun cleaning poop, right? But it is that once a week that you get to actually see all the geckos, and because you're in there every other day feeding them. Well, half the time the babies are hiding, right? Yep. So you don't see them, and you're like, open a bin, drop worms, close a bin, drop worms, close a bin. Half of them you don't see, and then that once a week where you physically have to take them out, you're like, oh my god, they didn't look like that last week.
Yeah, or they grow real quick. You're like,
yeah,
what the heck?
Yeah, it's like Christmas.
They change over, they morph overnight.
Yep,
they do. People don't understand that. You'll go in like, where did I get this one? Oh, wait. It's gonna happen to you with that one. I'm telling you, it's gonna change really big time. That clouded that you hatched.
Yeah. Oh, it looks. That's cool looking. He sent me a picture of it.
Yeah, it's the tail's insane on that one. I was like, geez, for a Gen 3, that's kind of insane.
It looked like a patty fat tail.
Yep.
Yeah.
At hatch.
So. But yeah, cool. Things are going good. It's been a long week. You hatch anything cool this week?
Probably. I don't remember.
He's like, he's been filming that show.
I've been filming that show. It's all I think about. And now I'm like hooked on these stupid YouTube shorts. So now I'm making shorts. So it's like I just added a whole nother job.
The shorts don't work like they used to. You used to put a short up and get like 30, 40,000 views on it. They don't do it like that no more. For some reason, they're kind of working their way away from the shorts for some reason. I don't know why.
Someone was singing on the Big G's today. They were singing.
That was an audio clip that I pulled from Jaws. Remember when they were sitting in the boat and they were drunk?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So yeah, I dropped that clip out of the Jaws movie and then I underlaid it on that gecko.
That was
kind of looked, baby geckos always look kind of tipsy. So yeah,
that was great. I was like, that's not him singing.
I'd get negative views if I was singing. Is it possible to get negative views? I'd be the first one ever.
Let's do it. Let's see. We might be. There's a guy on YouTube. I talked about him a lot. His name's Aaron Kosarski, and I tell people don't worry about dislikes. He gets about 200 to 300 dislikes on every video, but he says everyone's a view, and I get paid.
Yeah, and it's an engagement.
Yeah, thanks for the algorithm. Appreciate it.
It was great. He does it. So now he asks for it. It's hilarious.
Because negative attention also gets it attention, so it ends up putting it into the algorithm because people want to see what's going on.
Someone's going to look up Aaron Kosarski now.
Well, it's just that just doesn't make sense to me, right? Like if you disagree with what you're watching and you don't, then don't watch it anymore.
That's how you do it. Don't watch it.
Move on.
That's what I do. I don't think I've ever disliked anything. If I
watch a TV show and like the pilot episode or something, and I don't like it, then I don't watch it anymore. I don't like call the producer and tell him that I hope his whole family dies because he made garbage TV. And
there are people that do that though.
It's unbelievable. Well, you got to have something better to do,
Yeah.
Sounds like a rock band, Drunken Gecko. I like StreamYard. I've watched a lot of shows that are broadcast with StreamYard. I didn't use it. We're doing on our lives. We're using it's called Ecamm.
Okay.
And I'm an Apple guy, so I'm Mac everything, iOS everything. And
Apple's good though.
Ecamm was built specific. It doesn't even work on PCs. It'll only work on an Apple. Now, like if I was having you on as a guest, you could be on an Android, a PC. It doesn't matter because it's just a web link. Like I guess like this is. Mm-hmm. That's just processing off the cloud. But the back engine that is kind of like StreamYard's back engine, it will only operate on an Apple computer.
The reason I chose StreamYard is we're streaming right now in 7 different places. And they're working on Twitter and they're working on Instagram. So once that happens, we'll be on all platforms of all the major platforms. But Instagram don't have a third-party license, or they don't let third-party stream on there.
Now you can get around it. It's called Duck something or other.
Okay.
But so you'd be able to use Stream because you could put in your open key in StreamYard and then connect into Instagram through Duck, and people do it with OBS. And what it allows you to do is have all this production value that you're doing here, but you lose a lot of the Instagram features. Like my badges would be turned off, all my tracking would be turned off, and
that sucks.
Yeah. So that's why when we do an Instagram live, it's the freaking camera right here on it's my phone on a tripod. It's like as low tech as it gets, but they're fun. Yeah. I actually these just came in today because the Instagram lives are so low tech. Like you can run banners and drop comments and all this stuff you're doing on YouTube is phenomenal. You bring in multiple guests. You could even show your computer, play movies. Right? I've seen you show pictures of your desktop, sound effects. Instagram Live, I can't do any of that because my phone, I could barely keep up with the comments, right? Because my phone's. Yep. I bought these for Instagram Live. So
I want to buy a new switchboard, and then all my buttons would be on my switchboard. It won't. Yeah,
those are cool.
But they're like $700, and I'm like, do it. And I'm gonna be honest. I'm like, do I want to dump that much more money into something without it exploding first or getting bigger first? So I was like, because all my audio equipment now, I got so much dumped into it. And I bought it for radio.
Build it and they will come.
Yeah.
Hold on, you might be able to. The air conditioner just kicked on. I'm gonna shut the door so it's not quite as loud.
They go pinky. Yeah.
What is that? You got new underwear there?
New underwear.
Yeah,
I didn't know it was one of those kind of shows.
No.
They're stretchy too. Oh, they did see my underwear though.
Yeah. No. That's Becky's
Your
new
underwear's
pajamas.
not lying.
Yeah.
He's lying.
It's
They're
like
his
it's
underwear.
Fauna After Dark.
Fauna After Dark. So, yeah, no.
I can't see. Oh, I guess because I'm on this private chat thing. If I clicked over here, would I be able to? Oh, now I can see all the comments.
Yep, the comments should pop up for you.
I see them.
When you could click over on the comments, yeah.
It
I'm gonna
defaulted into private chat, and I was like, "There's nobody there." I thought it was like an OnlyFans thing where we were gonna.
No.
I was gonna see Wally dancing.
We take Dogecoin and we take Bitcoin.
But we got Ed from CMC Reptiles in here. He's a very good guy. We got Leonardo. He's a very good guy. We got Tanisha, which is a great. John, which is great, and Wally Kern. That's the ones I see on chat.
We have some people on Twitch right now. We also have people on Leopard Gecko Breeder, the page. We have them on there. The Gecko blog has no one viewing. Orner Exotics has 2 people viewing. Orner Exotics Facebook has 2 people viewing, and Fauna Radio has a few people viewing. So they're kind of spread out. I want to try to narrow it down just to go to 1, but I want to wait till they open up them projects for the other one. So, because if I can stream 8 places, we're gonna stream 8 places. Twitch is the big one. Twitch is huge.
Well, how's Twitch work? It's a subscription base, right?
Yes.
I've never been on Twitch, but
once you get so many subscribers, you get half. I believe you get half of it. So a subscription costs $5. After you get so many, every month you'll get $2.50 is given to you. There's people out there that make $20,000-$30,000 a month on Twitch.
Crazy.
So I thought we'd do it and see how it goes, and then I'm sure once we get over so many subs, we can start taking something like Super Chat, something like that.
Well, yeah, you need 1,000 subs and 2,000 watch hours? No, 4,000 watch hours. Yeah. We're all climbing. We're all working our way towards it. But that's actually so I'm conflicted on the strategy. I guess I dig it in a way because the more places you're broadcasting, like the more people you're touching. And right now you're not monetized, so what do you care? So you're building this big giant funnel of engagement, and then what you can do over time is maybe you start to narrow that funnel to where you're monetized. And all right, I get it. I dig it. I really like this. I like the strategy.
The only place I think it stays everywhere too. StreamYard keeps it in every spot. We're running that contest. I'm going to give away 2 bloods.
I saw that. That's amazing.
Let's see.
Absolutely
I switched
amazing.
over from Facebook to YouTube. There we go. See.
Yeah.
But will StreamYard eventually let us use on Instagram?
It's up to Instagram. It's up to Instagram. Yeah. It's in the making. I think Twitter's going to happen first.
I'll send you. It's on my desktop. It's an app. It might actually be on my phone. I did all this research. I'll send it to you after because I'll have to close this to see it. But because we wanted to do that, we wanted to do the Luna Live Instagram version, but I really like the whole production value, like this, we do when we do the YouTube lives. And I'm like, man, I don't want to just sit there holding my phone, like a moron for an hour.
So I like your Instagram live though.
Well,
I watch them all the time.
I figured out how to do it. I figured out how to do it. I figured out how to use this Duck Goose or whatever the heck this company is called, and then I can take the key and I can drop it into Ecamm or StreamYard. People do it with OBS, right? A lot of musicians that are going live on Instagram, because the audio quality is terrible on your phone, so they need the full studio setup. So they're using this third party to be able to go live on Instagram and still have all their mics and amps and all their gear. And then so then I spent like, I don't know, hours building all my scenes, because all my scenes had to go from, landscape to portrait. So I had to rebuild all my scenes for my live. And then I'm about to do it, and I realized, well, I can't activate badges. I don't get any analytics. So I threw it all away and held my phone like an idiot for an hour. So, but it turned out casual, turned out fun, and do
you get more? You get more views on Instagram, or you get more views on YouTube?
It depends on the live. So I have this weird live on Instagram from a few weeks ago that it gave us the idea to do to bring Luna live, because previously I had done lives on Instagram, but it was always I saw a gecko hatching. I threw him in the light box, stuck my camera up, and pressed live.
Okay.
And people watch. There's probably 4 or 5 of those on Instagram Live where people watch the gecko hatch, right? And those all have 1,000, 2,000 views, whatever. I'm not on camera. I'm behind the camera, and I'm the commentator. Well, sometimes it's 5 minutes, and it's cool. I had one go like an hour and 15 minutes from tip to actually getting out of the egg, and I'm dying. I mean, it's like it's like calling a 0-0 soccer game in triple overtime. I mean, it's like
is that the one that just hatched out the other day that you put up the video?
He kicked it to the right. No one scored. He's hurt. Bring out the stretcher. It was exhausting. Well,
is that the one you just put out? The video you just put out?
Yeah. It was a couple, and it's late. No. It was the one before that. So not the YouTube video. Yeah, the one before that that we did live. And this woman, her handle's Lizard Mom and Beyond. I don't know if you know her, but she is awesome. She sends a request about, I don't know, half hour into this excruciating live, and requests to join. And I'm like, how's that work? I've never done that before. And I'm like, you know what? It could be some crazy lady that's naked and I don't have any, but I'm drowning here. I need all the help I can get. So I press accept, and she was awesome. She was singing. She got her daughter. So the screen splits in half. She's on the top and I'm on the bottom, or I'm on the top and she's on the bottom. And she's singing, and her kids are, her kid was in and singing a lullaby to this gecko. And then she starts bringing out all her reptiles, and freaking, I got like 3,500 watches on that darn thing.
That was the one from the other day, right?
It was about a week or two ago.
About a week ago or so, yeah.
Yeah. And then I'm like, holy cow, I like this. And I think we should do Luna Live on Instagram, except it's not me talking for an hour or 2 hours. I'll use my Instagram platform because, I'm blessed with a fairly large fan base on Instagram. So I'll use that platform kind of like Billy does, right? Like Billy does that, he always shouts out people they got 500 subs. They just hit 1,000 on Instagram. He's always calling out these people, these new and up and coming folks. And I thought we could do something like that on Instagram. So a couple weeks ago, we did an open mic night where anybody could come in. I didn't care if you had one subscriber and it was your mom. Come on in. Tell us about your reptiles. Tell us about your business.
Yeah. And I watched that. I was at work and I just set it down. I listened to the whole thing.
That's right. Fun. You were on there too. Yeah. You said hi.
Yeah, you did jump in. And then last week it was open mic. Last week was show and tell. And then this Monday is going to be ladies' night, and Handy Dandy's going to host, and we're only going to let women of reptile women come in.
It's an amazing thing, because I was like,
yep,
you're seeing a lot of different people that you wouldn't know existed without that, because it could be anything. They could be nervous, they just don't have the advertising, and you really opened up a lot of people.
Yeah, it's been fun, and then I think we're gonna do a kids night or a kids one.
Oh, that'd be great.
I don't. We probably won't be able to do that on like Monday at 7, which is when we've been doing them. We'll probably have to make that like a Sunday matinee or something. But
midnight one.
Yeah, that's Fauna After Dark. I can't compete with Fauna After Dark and Andrew and his new Gutchies. Are those crotchless? I thought I saw it.
Uh-oh, Roy hatched one of his first babies from a male he bought off me. Was it good?
Congratulations.
Was it good? Andrew knows I don't have good stuff.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I saw what Andrew got from you. So you've, I've been, you know what? I've been in the background, you know, just consuming YouTube content for like the last, you know, year or so. You know, I've watched a ton of Andrew's stuff.
Andrew's got a lot.
Basically everything that you know, you have a bunch of stuff from what, like 7-8 years ago, and then started up again.
Well, what happened?
Maybe 6 months ago.
The reason is I used to have a channel that was just my name before, and it was hacked. It was cracked into, and they deleted all my content. I had 180,000 subscribers back in 2009.
Wow,
and
that's huge.
I got upset, and I was like, I started uploading stuff. You'll see like a classic, my Gaboons and stuff, my Venomous.
Yeah.
And I just stopped uploading it. I was like, I'm done. I'm over it. And I just stopped because it's so hard. But that's why I used to have a lot of Venomous. I did a lot of Venomous.
Yeah, I've probably watched everything you have up.
Yeah.
You know, there's a handful of things from years ago, and then all the current stuff. So I love lives. You know, when you're in the gecko room for, you know, 6-8 hours cleaning, and nothing better than a live, and it goes for 2 hours. You try to watch a video, and most of them are 10-15 minutes, and then it'll auto play something that you didn't want to watch. So every 15 minutes you got to go, you know, fix it. So lives are the best.
Oh, exactly. That's why I love your Instagram lives. That Monday thing is keep it going.
Oh, thanks.
I can put it in the back.
Yeah, I like it.
I'm gonna hype it up.
Hype it up. And that's what I want to say is you bring in a new way to the YouTube, and you're adding fun, but anyone can follow it. I really like that.
You know, I watch a lot of the old stuff, and hey, like Matt's stuff is phenomenal, right? I mean, but it's 7-8 years ago, and you know, Chris was doing some stuff back, you know, a few years ago, and John was doing some stuff back a few years ago. There was very little entertainment component in any of that. It was more educate. It was great knowledge, great education, great animals, but I just felt like we had a big hole, and there was an opportunity. I could teach you something, but maybe make you laugh and have a little fun along the way. It just seemed like we had an opportunity to do that. And so that was the genesis of the whole thing.
So with your Instagram and your YouTube, do you have a goal set in mind to where you would like to be in like a year's time from now or something? Or
well, I mean, Instagram, I'm really happy. I mean, obviously you want to just keep growing.
Yeah.
But I'm actually monetized on Instagram. So they run ads on my lives. I have badges. I don't even know if I'm allowed to say this, but they actually pay me to go live. So
sweet.
So that's going to cut down my badge. That's going to cut down the tip jar. Now the tip jar is for Miss Poppy Dog and Handy Dandy's wine, not.
I feel that stuff like that, when it's monetized, someone like you're doing it, the time you put into stuff, people don't understand. You put hours upon hours.
It's a lot of time
into it.
It is a lot of time.
You made dubious fun. How did you make dubious fun?
Yeah, that's hard to do. You should have seen Handy Dandy filming that. She was so freaked out by those dubia roaches. Like, we had to keep editing out screams when we were cutting that video. So she might actually be watching. I have an idea board over here where, you know, I'll be cleaning and I'll think of a video idea, and I'm like, because I'm going to forget it. So I just throw it on the whiteboard over here.
Yeah.
And I want to do one where, I don't know, there's like a mystery screen or something, and you can see me, and I've got all these different insects, and she's on the other side of the screen with a blindfold on, and I just keep putting them in her hand. and we're gonna have her rate the insects.
So officially, this is the last week we're gonna see Big G. It's over.
It's on the board, but I kind of changed. It's kind of in code. It says handy dandy ranks feeders, but she doesn't understand what that means. So.
Oh, geez. I mean,
she does now because she's watching it.
She might be watching. She was wrapping a gift for a baby shower, so I'm hoping she's still doing that and not watching yet. So, but we'll see.
So if we all see Big G get taken down, we know why.
Yeah.
We'll send flowers.
Or if Andy just takes over everything, then you know what happens.
Yeah. Well, you know what the thing I'll finish that up, Andrew, because I never really was into YouTube until maybe a year or so, 2 years ago. I started watching YouTube. But prior to that, the only time I spent on YouTube was how to change a three-way switch. YouTube video, right?
It is.
That's what I used it for. It was my how to fix solve a problem. But then I started getting into it from an entertainment perspective, and I'm like, hey, this is pretty cool. I think COVID, right, you're stuck and you're on lock. I'm sitting in Canada, which you think US lockdowns are bad. Canada is like there was an armed guard on everyone's front porch. So now I can never go back to Canada for saying that, but they were serious about their lockdown stuff, and nothing, you couldn't go anywhere, and so you're consuming all this content, and you can only watch Netflix so much, or right? I mean, how many times can you watch Tiger King? And yeah, and so it's time to start finding and I have a short attention span too. That's why. I don't like books. I like magazines because I can read the article and it's over. Next one. And that's what YouTube's like. YouTube's not a book. It's a magazine. So it's an article, right? And so that rapid fire content consumption. I watch freaking Emma Chamberlain. I watch this stuff that has nothing to do with reptiles. And actually Emma Chamberlain is what gave me the idea for this week in the life, because every single episode of Emma Chamberlain's is she makes coffee, she plays the drums, she goes to the gym, she goes to the grocery store, she makes coffee, she goes to bed and kisses you on the forehead. And there's 3 million people that watch every one of her episodes.
That's insane.
3 million. Look it up. It's unbelievable.
I watch a lot of antique furniture restorations.
Yeah. You got your own antique or your own furniture restoration show going now with that table. You doing the dresser yet?
Yep, starting it this week.
So, I mean, obviously with YouTube, same thing you guys are chasing. I'd love to be at 1,000 and 4,000 and monetize. And
well, I have my channel itself has enough to be monetized, but I don't do it.
Why not? Even if you monetize, you can set how commercials run and.
Yeah, well, the story goes. This is exactly what happened. I have spinal bifida, so I have a friend. A friend shared stuff with me, and I shared it, and they went from 100 subscribers to 10,000 subscribers, and they monetized their stuff. This was before you had to have so many watch hours and stuff like that. And they went after him, saying that he had to be cheating somewhere. There's no way you can do that quick, that fast. So they blocked the channel. So I said I won't monetize. I demonetized my channel right away. In the beginning, when I had enough, I was monetized. But then I just, why should they make money if they're not going to let this person make money?
But because you're not monetized, they still put ads on your stuff and make money.
Yeah, so therein lies the problem, because the current user agreement, they can run ads on anybody's content, whether you're in the partner program or not.
But I can curse in the beginning.
A lot of my stuff has ads running on it, and it's people think I'm monetized. I'm not monetized. YouTube has the discretion to run the ads,
and they've changed it so much. Look, back in 2007, when I was monetized, I made a lot of money. YouTube was a lot of money. Now it's harder to get that money. And I used to be able to choose if I wanted. It was basically just like beginning and the middle. Now you can put it like every 5 seconds if you wanted to.
Yeah, and you get, well, people are going to tune out. So
Yeah.
you know, like I get mad. I like when an ad comes up and I can actually skip it.
Yep, me too.
So there's a setting that doesn't allow you. You know, they can set it and not allow you to skip it. So you got to sit there through the whole ad or the 2 ads, and that's frustrating.
But if you watch a lot of people going with what Wally says right here, some people curse at the very beginning of their YouTube channel when it first started up. Like they'll say a bad word, and then they won't monetize it.
Yeah, it depends. It depends. They've gotten a little
lenient.
There's a lot of people that are using bad words that are monetized. Like some of the biggest. Emma Chamberlain is notorious for dropping bombs. I mean, and I'm telling you, this woman has her videos are sponsored. You got to look her up. It's amazing.
I'm going to look her up after this for sure.
I mean, 3 million people watch her weekly episodes, and she cusses all the way through. So don't.
If she gets the views.
Well, she's not Billy. Billy, like every 3rd word with Billy is an F word. So, and it's not fire truck. It's it's the shorter version. But Billy is so fun to watch. I
don't know. With mine, I still got enough subscribers, but I don't know if I have enough watch time because you got to have 4,000 hours.
Yeah, and it's a rolling 12 months. It's like 4,000 within the last 12 months and 1,000 current, and so I thought it would be easier. It's not easy.
No,
it's a climb, and what I think's important is because if you go out and look at, and I know you guys focus on all different reptiles, and that's cool. But Gary, you have a soft spot for leopard geckos too. I don't think there's enough gecko content on.
I have to agree with you on that.
Ball pythons are kicking our butt, and I think the more people that press record and upload, go man. The more content we get out there, the better off the community is going to be.
Wally's going to get mad at me now. The reason I haven't is I'm a perfectionist. I have a problem. I do. So I'll actually get it, and if the lighting's off, I'm like, oh, that video's done. I'm not doing it. And I'm serious. That's exactly how I am.
Yeah, you got to figure out a way to make it work. Like drop a filter on it or something. Like
yeah. So I was just I talked to Wally. I'm planning right now. I got another one planned, and it's going to be the series about the morphs. I'm going to bring up that because I've been writing that website geckohistory.com.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And then I'm going to do one I was talking to Andrew about. I'm going to show people how I look at a gecko and what details I see that other people don't. Like I was telling Andrew on the clouded he has, I'm like, it's the white line underneath the eye. He's like, what do you mean? So I actually circled it. I'm like, this would be a good video. I actually circled it down. I'm like,
yeah, that's cool.
This is what I look for, like the striping on the tail, I'm starting to write these down. You guys are going to kick my butt now. I have professional lighting right here. I just don't move it. It's in the studio. If I just move it to the next room, it'd be all lit.
Yeah.
I have professional lighting.
Well, I think it's important. Guys like you with the experience and the history, guys like you and Matt and John and Chris and like what was like Haygood? I think he's out now, right? Didn't Chris just buy his collection?
I think so. Yeah.
But guys like that, like you guys, that you know where the bodies are buried, man. You know the stories. I'm not trying to be an expert. I'm approaching it more from a novice, intermediate standpoint, and just trying to wrap some entertainment around it. And
that's one thing I love about you is. When you don't know something, you say, I don't know.
Well, it's funny because we had a saying in the casino business that if you say it quickly and with confidence, people will believe you. They'll never check. So you just make it up and just let it go, right? As long as it was within reasonable parameters. When you're talking about genetics, and that doesn't work. You can't say, oh, that's a Superman gecko. No, that's easy to look up.
Yep.
So But if someone asks me what my cost of sales are in the, casino bar 7, I could be like, oh, it's 43%. And they're like, oh, okay, that's reasonable. And I didn't know the number, but it was, I knew the overall beverage cost, and it couldn't have been too far from the overall. So, it's close enough.
Yep, I think you're right. And I think we just need to put it out there. And Wally always picks on me because at the shows, I'll release anything. I'll tell anyone. I'll sit there and talk geckos all day at Reptile Expos. And Leonardo will tell you, Roy will tell, all these people tell you. But then when I do a video, that's why it's live. If I record it sitting here, I'm fine.
Yeah.
I'll talk all day. I love your videos. You've been an inspiration, and not many people know that.
Thank you.
Your video's been inspiration of how you put them together. And how long does it take you to come up with that idea and come up with that? Film it.
If you go back, so I guess I have. I spent 20 plus years, in the casino business, and I've been in the spotlight a lot. I'm not a stranger to standing up at a microphone in an arena with 5,000 people looking at me, right? Or, dropping pucks at hockey games or, any of that stuff. TV news interviews, right? Is like, give me a camera and a beer and I'm in. So the camera part didn't make me uncomfortable. It was, how do you put it together in a fashion where it's not boring?
Okay.
And I try to be entertaining, but also pass on some information at the same time. And I can go back and look at some of the beginning ones. And we've only been doing this for 5 months now. But even some of the beginning ones, there's some jokes and stuff in them. But using the editing, it's more like dry comedy versus right?
Okay.
It's like, so without the edit in those early days, we weren't as good with the editing and how we can make it. So like I could sit here and say, make sure you watch Fauna Radio every Friday night, 8:00. Well, that got the message across. But if I did that in make sure you watch Fauna Radio, and I did that all in different cuts and different zoom ins and stuff, and changed inflection with the mic and audio software, then that was 3 seconds of information, somewhat boring, but now the same 3 seconds of the same information, but kind of cute or kind of fun now, right?
Yeah.
And I think the big thing is don't be afraid to make fun of yourself, man.
Good point.
I think the problem that everybody has is they take themselves too darn seriously.
Yes, they do.
We're not curing cancer. We're not solving world hunger. We're not creating world peace. We're we're breeding animals and hanging out with geckos or snakes or whatever it is. If you're taking yourself seriously about this,
and people get
acting
nasty,
101.
Nasty.
It's acting 101.
Over being serious.
Oh, it's crazy.
They'll go completely ballistic over being serious.
You know what the problem is, Andrew? Is when we removed corporal punishment from schools and we started putting people in timeout. When I went to school, a nun would beat you.
Yeah, I went to a Catholic school.
Yeah.
And here's another thing where we made a mistake is, everybody gets a trophy.
Oh, there's a winner and there's everybody else.
Losers. Yeah,
there ain't no participation trophies.
No. Hey, if you're not first, you're last.
Yeah. My son in T-ball got a participation trophy. I made him give it back. He cried. He cried. And I was like, no, you're going to thank me one day.
See, I agree with that too. And I wish more people would think that way. Work hard for something and it's more appreciative. If you're not working hard for it and you get it, you're not going to ever work hard for anything.
My oldest son says what they're doing is they're making everybody soft. He goes, because if you don't have to work, you'll never try harder the next time. If you're a loser this year, you're going to work harder to become a winner next year. And every year after that, you're going to be working harder and harder.
Leonardo,
they don't do that no more. So he said they're all softies because
I got if we got a minute,
Yeah, we got a minute.
I'll tell you a funny story about my high school football coach.
Yeah.
So we had a pretty good team. I mean, we won, like we were the biggest. It's called 4A. So I grew up in West Virginia, and 4A is, there's single A all the way to 4A. 4A is the biggest schools. We had like 2,600 kids in our high school. So it was a county consolidated school. So like all the county schools went to our high school. And we, my sophomore year, we got beat in the semis. My junior, we won the state championship. My senior year, we got beat in the state championship. The year after I graduated, we won the state championship. So we had this dynasty period. And that coach, the stadium's now named after him. But I stayed in touch with him for years. One of the most influential men in my life. And he wasn't the nicest guy in the world to me. I mean, this guy kicked my butt. And him and his wife, he was long retired. I was running the Flamingo out in Las Vegas. And I had been in touch with him ever since, high school, which at that point was many years earlier. And he said he's coming to Vegas and he'd love to see me. And I said, let me take care of everything. He's like, no, you don't have to do that. So I said, I got it, coach. I sent a limo to the airport, put him in like a high roller suite, dinner, shows, hook the guy up, right? Like VIP Vegas treatment. He's leaving, and I go meet him down in the porte-cochere where the limo's picking him and his wife up, and they're going to take him back to the airport. And, great to see you. We're saying goodbye. It's been too long, and, love you, coach. And he said, you know what? I'm really proud of you, son. He said, but I hope you don't mind. I took some notes on some things I think you could do better here. He handed me 4 pages of handwritten notes, things I could do better at the casino. And he goes, I hope you're not offended. And I said, Coach, I'd expect nothing less from you. I appreciate it. And I said, I need to frame them. They used to be in my office. I got to have them framed and like put them on the wall. It's, life according to Bud Billiard.
That's awesome.
4 pages. Cool. I took some notes that I think could help you do better here. So, but how many, that's just how we grew up. So
always reach to be better and listen. I always tell people you have 2 ears and 1 mouth. So listen and learn.
Yeah. Talk less, listen more.
Yep.
But this is a talk show, so
we talk all the time. I can get going. I can take over. If you ever notice, I try to shut up and let Andrew talk. Sometimes I'll sit there, let go, and it's me. It's just me. I do it at reptile shows. Leonardo will tell you. I do it at reptile shows all the time. So you don't have very many reptile shows down. How many a year do you have? Reptile expos?
Well, there's a lot. The issue, so I was in Vegas when I first started doing this. I was living in Vegas, and I got hooked in with the guy that runs like that circle. He runs like Colorado, Vegas, Southern California. Ryan, Reptile Nation. Is that right? Yeah, Reptile Nation or Reptilian Nation. That's what it is, Reptilian Nation. So I was on. But I'm working full time. I'm running casinos, man. I can't like go do a show every weekend. I work 6 days a week, 14 hours a day, for 20 years. So cleaning poop is like freaking vacation. So, but I was doing the Vegas shows because they were easy. I did a couple of California shows. But then I got a new contract and I moved to Canada. So now I'm in Toronto. And I'm like, well, I had to meet the people that ran the Ontario shows. And so I met the guys that ran, they run the biggest show in Canada in Toronto, the Canadian Reptile Breeders Association.
Yeah. In
Toronto. But they also run a circuit throughout Ontario and all these different little towns. So I started doing, again, I'm running 4 casinos. Well, I'm running 3 casinos, building a 4th casino. So really don't have time to be jumping all over doing reptile shows. But the ones in Toronto were right by the airport. They were 20 minutes from my house. I was doing those. And then COVID hit and all the shows are done. And I had just gotten in, right? Like anytime you want a table, it's yours. So now I come back to the States, and what happened is we owned a house down here in Lake Charles that got hit by Hurricane Laura. It's a rental property. It's a duplex. It's an upstairs, downstairs duplex. And there were tenants in both units, and the hurricane hit and basically made the place on both units unlivable. Tenants are gone. We're stuck in Canada. I take a contract buyout on the casino thing I was doing up there, and I'm like, we don't have anywhere to go. So we said, let's just go back down to Lake Charles and oversee rebuilding this house. And so we showed up back down here, and really what it is, we live in the upstairs apartment, and the downstairs apartment is basically a big giant storage locker plus reptiles. So it's basically, I have my own apartment. And Handy Dandy doesn't even like coming down here because she's like, it's so disgusting down there. I'm not a big clean. I keep the geckos clean, but like outside this door, there's like boxes everywhere.
I'm the same way. I think all reptile people are this way.
Yeah.
What you see is clean, but the cages are clean.
Well, she wants to straighten it up all the time. And I'm like, no, I know where everything is. I know where my wrenches are. I know if I need a screw, I know where to go find it. That whole corner there is stuff I need for reptile shows. So don't move any of that, because I'll end up at a show and I won't have my banner or something. So it's organized in my mind. It's not, she watches that Japanese lady that, the
organizing lady, right?
Yeah. That Marie Kondo, where she'll hold something up and she's like, if it doesn't bring me joy, it's got to go. Well, everything down here brings me joy. So none of it can go. So we came back down here, Gary, and I'm like, man, what am I going to do? I don't know anybody. So I find Ryan, the Herp Show.
Yeah.
And I reach out. His wife, Lori, responds, and she says, you know what? Welcome back to Louisiana. We run the whole circuit, Louisiana, Texas. Herp Show does Conroe. So some of the big Conroe is one of the biggest shows in Texas.
Okay.
So they're doing Lafayette, Slidell, New Orleans, Beaumont, Conroe, Bryan College Station. They jump up into Oklahoma. They got to Colorado. They're running this whole corner. And Lori said, like the week we got back, I looked them up, and their website said that there was a show in Lake Charles the following week. And I'm like, that can't be. The Civic Center's gone. Like the hurricane, it's gone. You can't do a reptile show in a tent.
It's not funny, but it is. It's like, it's gone.
And so that's where I sent a message. And Lori said, no, we moved it to Lafayette, and we have an open table if you want it. I'm like, oh, I'm in. So I was only back in Louisiana for a week, and I was doing a reptile show. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. So here's a question for you. You might not want to answer it, but what group of people do you like better? Do you like the Canadian reptile people or the American reptile people?
I wasn't, it's not a trick answer. I wasn't in Canada long enough to really be immersed in the reptile community. I think I did 2 shows. I met a bunch of smaller breeders, mostly people that bought stuff from me. Sam at Reptile Express, Reptile International, Sam Fard. He runs, if you want to import, export, across the border, Sam's your guy. Sam, it was amazing. I mean, he plugged me in immediately. The guys running the show were great. I think it was very similar. I think that we all have a passion, and we, at the end of the day, if we don't, I say this all the time, but we might not agree with every little thing, but at the end of the day, we love animals. More specifically, we love reptiles, and even more specifically, we love geckos. So we have that in common. So if we can start with what we have in common, we can build from there. And I think that's the key. I think obviously the community is much bigger in the United States. I mean, there's only 38 million people in Canada.
Yeah.
350 million people in the United States. So
now, when you went back and forth, were you able to take your animals with you, or did you have to start over in both places every time you moved?
No, I took it. That's how I met Sam. When I moved from Vegas to Toronto, I imported my entire collection, or I exported my entire collection from Vegas. I shipped it to New York. So every time I ship a single gecko and I get nervous, right? Even though 99.99% of the time, we don't want to get into. I've only ever had 2 issues shipping. Now I've had a whole bunch of times where it's got stuck in Indianapolis or stuck in Memphis, but like your Cayman lizard spent.
Yeah, Memphis.
He hung out with Elvis at Graceland for 3 days. So they're though most of those have turned out fine. I've only ever had 2 that didn't turn out fine, and based on the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of animals that we've shipped. That I'm happy with that safety record. The only time I wouldn't be happy with that safety record would be if I was counting the number of takeoffs and landings in an airplane, because those should always match, right? Like if you have 1 takeoff, you should always have 1 landing. If you're missing, you got that one. You got a problem. So I met Sam because I had to take all of my animals, send them to New York. And then Sam takes them across the border through customs. And then I met him at his house in Toronto, and he handed me all my animals. And then from there, they're basically the Ship Your Reptiles or the Reptiles to You, or what's the other company? Reptiles Express.
Ship Your Reptiles.
Yeah, Ship Your Reptiles, Reptiles to You, and Reptile
Express.
Yep.
Yeah.
The big ones.
So it's confusing because Sam is Reptile Express and the US is Reptiles with an S, and they're not the same company. But in Canada, that is basically your Ship Your Reptiles, right? So if I want to ship a reptile from Ontario to Alberta, I need Sam. That's how I go on his website and I book the shipment.
Okay.
Same thing we do here with Ship Your Reptiles or Reptiles. Yeah. And so that's how I got everything to Canada. And then I was probably, because most people still knew me in the United States, probably half the animals I was producing, Andrew, were still coming across the border. Even though I was producing them in Toronto, they were still getting imported back into the US and distributed from there.
Because they knew you.
Yeah, Sam ships them out of New York. And I think people miss that a lot. They miss the fact that I'm going to produce great animals and everybody will want them. No one knows who you are.
Yep.
It takes time. Be patient. Build your reputation. Like be out there. Let people get to know you. And then when I left Canada to come back, they had gotten a little more strict with how all that works for commercial purposes. And Sam was so cool. He could have just been like, yeah, just give me a whole bunch of money and I'll make it happen. He's like, listen, G, you should just get an import-export license and do it yourself. This is going to cost you like $200, where you're gonna pay me like $2,000 to do this. And it's COVID. I'm not working. I got all kinds of time. I'm like, yeah, I'll get a fish and wildlife import. I'll get a U.S. fish and wildlife import-export license. So that's what I did. So when I brought them back across the border, I had to go through customs, and it was funny because it was a delivery day for Sam too. So me and Sam are both sitting in Fish and Wildlife, waiting for the inspector to come like check our animals. And she walked out to the U-Haul, checked my animals, and signed my paper, and said, "See you later." So
you made it easier.
Yeah, I had like 4 house plants in the U-Haul, and I got more heat at customs over the 4 house plants than I did over the 200 geckos that were in the box. So
because someone just asked how difficult would you say importing and exporting is. Was it easier when you got your own license, or was it easier through Sam?
If you don't live at the border or near the border, it's not worth your time, because you're going to have to make the trip to the border.
Gotcha.
And you're going to have to go, do the crisscross every time. If you're living, like I live in Lake Charles, I'm closer to the Cuban border than I am the Canadian border. So
yeah,
I'm going to ship them to Sam in New York. He's going to take them through customs, and then he's going to distribute them from Toronto. So
I live 1 hour from the border, from the Canadian border.
Yeah, now you have to be on both sides of that, though. So not only like Sam he's U.S. licensed and he's Canadian licensed, because he has to be able to go both ways.
Yeah.
So I can only bring stuff into the U.S. I don't have a license to get stuff out of the U.S. So I don't know what it takes on the Canadian side.
Yeah, I got friends down in Florida that import a lot. But I'm a person, though, with importing and exporting captive bred animals, I think shouldn't be as heavily regulated, in my opinion, like going to Canada and coming to the United States if it's captive bred.
Well, all the non-CITES stuff is a piece of cake.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty easy to ship leopard geckos to the UK.
Yeah. Well, ham used to be the best, right? You would just anybody in Europe that wanted, even Asia. I think I shipped stuff to Ham once that a guy from Japan was picking them up at Ham.
Was it Dygate?
But it was. But what we used to spend it? I think it was like $45 to send an animal to Ham.
It was cheap.
Right? Yeah, and then like Dutch Dragon would have a table, and the customer would just show up at Dutch Dragon's table, show an ID, and they'd hand them the animal.
They had to go in different containers, though. They couldn't go in our deli cups that we had. That we have when I sent them over, they had to put them in bigger. They have regulations.
Square, right?
They go in bigger
square.
deli cups. Yeah.
Well, I shipped them to Dutch Dragon in LA where they unbox them, and so they probably reboxed them.
Yeah. That was the biggest thing because who was I talking to? It might have been Steve Sykes when he went over there one year, and it was the big thing. Like he had to display them in bigger deli cups, and I'm like, really? I'm like, they do better in the smaller deli cups.
Yeah,
but people in shipping, if you don't ever have an animal shipped, leopard geckos should not be shipped in big containers. They should be in a small deli cup that's tight.
Yeah, you don't want them bouncing all over the place.
I was going to say that you don't want them bouncing everywhere.
I had a security camera at like my house in Vegas was cameraed everywhere, right? I could see everything, and I was waiting all day for a gecko. Well, not all day. It was like a 10:30 a.m. delivery.
But it felt all day.
It felt like all day because I couldn't wait to get this gecko. I'm like, come on, baby. And I'm waiting. And then finally I get the thing that, I got a motion detected. And there was a front gate, and then there was a courtyard, and then then there was the door to the house. So you'd actually physically have to come through the front gate, walk through the courtyard. So I got him on it was a UPS guy. So I got him on like the garage camera shooting this way. He walks up to the gate, jiggles it a couple of times, can't figure out how to open it, throws the gecko over the fence, turns around, walks.
Wow.
I'm running out of the house. He was fine, but he was in a little container, like you said, right? If he would have been in a big container, he'd have been bouncing like a crash dummy. He'd have been bouncing all over the place. He was fine, but we don't know what happens to those boxes when they like we walk into FedEx like we're carrying our grandmother's ashes.
Yeah, they don't do that.
I seen a video of a box on a conveyor belt. Now I'm not saying it was, but it was a FedEx box, and it's just sitting there going in a circle, not even going up. I'm like, wow. Could you imagine if that was a snake or something just bounce?
Yeah, they don't care. There's even said that you shouldn't put handle with care and live animal, even though it's we have to, but they get treated different meanly. Sometimes some people throw it or
that's a shame. That's so all the negative energy that is. No, we're not even going to say that because listen, at the end of the day, FedEx doesn't need us.
No.
So, I get upset with if we're, when we had all the storms and the shipping trouble and everybody was out there bashing FedEx, we're a pimple on reptile shipping might be big
to us, but it's not for them.
But for FedEx, they could just.
Yep, exactly. They could.
Like,
when
care less about us.
So I was calling every hour on the hour, and I go, "Can you just tell me you found it?" For 3 days, I was like, "You're telling me it's gone," and then he just showed up, and I was upset. I'm like, "This is what you do." And I used to run a shipping center, bonded transportation here in Wisconsin. And I'm like, if I would tell any of my clients, well, I lost your box. Oh, God. But we were dealing with medical stuff. We were dealing with like medical supplies or surgical equipment or anything like that, and we were expedite. So it was literally, you have 6 hours to go pick this up and take it down to Milwaukee. Oh, okay, cool.
You like delivering hearts and stuff?
Yeah, we would do eyeballs,
That's
retinas, hearts, livers, everything. Yeah.
We
Wow.
misplaced your heart like Mr. Bean in that
Yeah. Like
in the Rat Race. You ever see that movie Rat Race?
Yeah, my
Yeah.
guy picked it up, but we lost it.
The
Cool.
dog has it.
Well, we have a kidney. You want?
Yeah, we have a kidney. We're
You want
good.
to trade?
Yeah. So, FedEx does have a lot, though. If you guys never went into a FedEx, like in Memphis or Indianapolis, I don't know how
They're
they
huge,
keep
right?
it straight. I have no clue how they keep it straight.
I used to live in Memphis. It's What's Fred Smith, founder? Is that I think it's right. Fred Smith.
It might be. I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
there's a funny business story on Fred. He did like everybody might know this story, but it's a pretty well known story. He did like a college paper on, I guess it was a project for some business class, come up with a business idea.
Okay.
And he came up with the business idea of FedEx, and he got like a D or an F on the paper because the professor said, "You'll never be able to compete with the post office. This is the stupidest idea I've ever heard of in my life." So
And today,
yeah, here we are. Here we are.
Today,
the post office is hurting.
Yeah.
Yeah. And many people don't know you can ship live animals through the post office.
Yes, you can.
I think
You
a
get
lot of the insects go through the post office, don't they?
I've gotten geckos through them.
You can
Oh,
do
you have?
lizards. Yeah, you can do lizards. You can't do most snakes. I think some snakes are regulated. You could ship a goat through USPS.
Oh, I want a goat. I want one of those fainting goats.
I was just gonna say the same thing. I want
Yeah.
a fainting goat so bad.
I can't wait. I want chickens too, but I'm living in a duplex, and I could put them down here. Nobody would know.
We just need to get a casino down near you, and you run it. And this,
Oh, there is a big casino. That's my roots in Lake Charles are L'Auberge Lake Charles is right down the road. And I first came to Lake Charles. I spent about 12 and a half years or so with Caesars Entertainment. Started in Vegas in 1998. Ultimately, it bounced around a little bit. So 98 to 2002 in Vegas. Then I went to Memphis for a little bit, and then I was in Mississippi and Tunica, Vicksburg. Then I went back to Vegas. Then I went to Biloxi, Mississippi. Then I went back to Vegas. That's when I was running the Flamingo, and then the Rio for a little bit. And then from there, I got promoted to run Northwest Louisiana, and we had 2 casinos. We had a racetrack and the Horseshoe up in Northwest.
Oh, okay.
Northwest Louisiana. It's called Shreveport, and I ran those 2 casinos. And then a former, the guy I went to work for in Memphis ultimately retired and then became the CEO of a company called Pinnacle Entertainment. And he called me and said, I need you to come work for me. And I said, man, I just built a house. I'm pretty comfortable. And he said, come on, I need you to at least come look at it. And my wife said, you know what? He did a lot for you. You at least owe him a trip. And I said, you're right. And so, I came down here to Lake Charles and L'Auberge Lake Charles. There's a Golden Nugget here now. There's a big casino scene. We're 2 hours from Houston. And Houston has 6 million people. It's like the 3rd largest MSA in the United States. And there's no legalized gambling in Texas. So, you
get it all.
It's all Texas, 80% Texas license plates when you go through the casino parking garage. So I walked in the place and it was gorgeous. And I said, when do I start? So I ended up moving down here in 2010. So May of 10, I came to Lake Charles, and I ran I was the executive vice president of the Southern region. So I ran 4 casinos in Louisiana. I was based in Lake Charles, but I had a casino here, Baton Rouge, one in Bossier City, and one in New Orleans. And then in that tenure, we bought a racetrack over in San Antonio, Texas that it had racing, but it didn't have slots or table games or anything. So I ended up having 5. I had 5 facilities in my region.
Wow.
That's why I came here. But You know, it was fun. That's some of that experience. I mean, I had a multi-billion-dollar company under my responsibility. I had 10,000 team members, 5 properties.
10,000. Wow.
I think that's. I know a fraction of what you know about geckos, Gary, but I think I can teach a lot of these folks business stuff.
Business. That's what I was going to say. Business.
I think what you're bringing, I think you're hard on yourself. What you're bringing, gecko wise, business wise, I think you have a lot to teach everybody about everything. I honestly do.
It's a different world, you know. Like if I wanted to do a Facebook ad or a social media campaign, I had a team of like 20 people. I could just go in and throw out a crazy idea, and then at the end of the day, they would all be in my office, and I'd be like, "You like this? You like this? You like this?" And I'd be like, "That."
Now it's just you and Handy Dandy.
Yeah, now it's me and Handy Dandy, and she's like, "I'm gonna kill you. We're not changing. I don't care if your font is a little bit different size than it. We're running it." I'm like, "No, it's not perfect."
I love it. See that. You're casino. You're bringing in running a multi-billion, maybe even multi-trillion-dollar company.
Yeah, not trillion, but certainly
it's close.
Certainly 3 commas. You know, in the billions.
And
I mean, the casino I ran in Toronto, I had 3 in Ontario. I was building a 4th, but the single property in Toronto, it's called Woodbine.
Okay, it's
right by the airport. We did over $1 billion a year in gaming revenue at that property.
What?
It's in Canada. If that was like 1.1 billion in gaming revenue, if it's like the 3rd busiest casino in North America, and people don't even realize it's sitting right by Toronto International Airport.
That's why he doesn't fear nothing. Yeah, we're talking hundreds and thousands. He's like, we're talking billions now.
I've had guys, you know, I've sat and watched guys play blackjack beat me for 5-6 million. I'm like, see you tomorrow. So it's a loan. It's just a loan. I'll get it back.
That is awesome.
You might have screwed up my month or maybe my quarter, but I'll get it back.
Eventually, it's coming back.
So I got 2 questions for you then. Okay, question 1 is, if somebody has a bunch of geckos, like let's say 200 geckos like you got, or 300 geckos, how would they turn that into a business? Because they're, you know, just because they're not known or they're not really pushing a business, but they want to, but they don't know how to start. And how would you compare running a gecko business to the casinos? I know it's not billions of dollars, but is there any similarities in running the 2 businesses?
Well, yeah, my favorite similarity, and what is probably what has me hooked, is, you know, genetics and gambling are all mathematical odds. Yeah. And so if I'm playing poker or if I'm playing blackjack, I know what are the odds that an ace is coming or a jack is coming or a 10 is coming. Well, I'm dealing with those same number combinations and those same odds when I'm dealing with genetics. So I'm thinking about a gecko hatching like a hand of blackjack. You know, it's like, how's this going to work out? So the math's the only thing in the world that doesn't lie. It's always going to tell you the truth. So, you know, the mathematical probabilities and the odds, and I guess if anything, I maybe have somewhat of a leg up on that. I might not be the professor of genetics, but you're pretty good at mathematical equations and odds, and I just, you know, so yeah, it's head eclipse, and it's, you know, I don't know. Give me something else. I don't want dominant. Give me something recessive.
Recessive. You got cipher. You have all
that's an eye trait though, so you shouldn't mix cipher and.
So let's say Bell albino.
Okay, so I'm het Bell and I'm het eclipse, and I'm trying to make radars, right? So I'm dealing cards, man. I'm just, you know, I'm figuring it out based on how many cards are in the deck and what the probabilities are. So that's the similarity. The biggest difference is I got a lot less zeros on my numbers than I'm used to. Well, it's actually funny because I remember the first time very early in my career, I was watching. I was my first job in the casino business. I was an internal auditor, and so what we had to do was we had to audit the casino operations to make sure we were in compliance with the minimum internal control standards set forth by the gaming regulators. And because if you lose your license, then you're done, right? Ooh. So we have to make sure that we're in compliance, and we report things before the state finds it. And you can't evaluate, like I can't evaluate table games if I don't know anything about table games. So I got to learn. And I can't evaluate slots or surveillance or, list goes on. And I'm in the high limit room watching a guy play Baccarat, betting like $100,000 a hand. And I'm like 29 years old, and I'm looking at this, and I'm standing here with the pit boss, and I'm like, doesn't that make you nervous? And he said, it's just a different color chip. So,
that's all it is.
Different color chip. So it's, the game is exactly the same, whether you're playing for $5 or you're playing for 5 million. So, I guess there's a lot less zeros in the gecko business, but the biggest, just basic business concepts. I mean, leadership's not a big deal. I have a team of 2, well, 3 if you count Poppy, and she don't listen. So she's like the most insubordinate employee I've ever had in my life. Handy Dandy is probably the boss, so I'm probably number 2. So I have nobody. I have no team. I have no one to delegate to. So I spent my entire career coming up with ideas and concepts and putting teams together, and we'd create an idea and then we'd go execute on that idea or that strategy, and we'd bring it to fruition, but we didn't actually, I never created anything, And so what the geckos became for me, and my daughter really got me into it, but what the geckos became for me was, it was my outlet where it was just me in a room by myself. I wasn't solving anybody's problems, because at the levels I spent the end of my career at, I didn't have anyone to take my problems to. Like, everyone's problems came to me because I was at the top. So I spent all day helping people fix their problems. And so when I got home, I just come down here in the gecko room, and I could just I could make. I can't paint, I can't sing, I don't play any instruments. So this was like my artistic outlet, I guess. And so that's kind of how it happened. But
I think that's why your geckos look so good. You can see it. You can see it when you one of my favorite one was when you were showing your breeders, your males, meet the boys.
Oh yeah.
Girls.
Yep, that was a good video.
I like that video. You showed your animals. I'm like, he's really got some good stock. And then you showed off your babies. I'm like, well, he knows how to pair. That's all I said. I'm like, he's making some really cool stuff.
Yeah, thank you. You know what? I want to close that too, Andrew. I think people should spend time on, be detail oriented, document everything. Not just your pairings and your genetics and all the stuff associated with the geckos, but you know what? If you go to Walmart and you got to buy 12 rolls of paper towels, write it down. If you got to ship some geckos out and you spend $63.86 at Ship Your Reptiles, write it down. Because at the end of the day, you might look at your PayPal account and you're like, I made whatever. $2,500 last year. Well, no, you didn't. You spent $5,000 because you bought a rack, you bought a thermostat, you bought 6 new geckos. You had to ship them, you had to feed them, you had. If I showed up at a board of directors quarterly meeting and they asked me what my profit was for the quarter, I'm like, I don't know, but it felt really good.
It doesn't work.
It doesn't work, right? So. Detail oriented. You don't have to be an accountant, but just detail oriented. And
the business side.
Yeah, understand. If you really want to turn this into a business, figure out while it's a hobby if it's even viable.
Yeah.
And if it is viable, at what scale do you have to go to make it actually livable? Right? So it's one thing, it's a hobby that now covers itself. So I spend 5,000, I made 5,000. I enjoy this, cost me nothing. But now it's got to pay rent, health insurance, car note, food, vacation. What's the scale going to take? So if I could break even with 50 geckos and I need to be able to make this much money to be able to support my life, what do I need? Do I need 500? Do I need 1,000 geckos? Can I do it? Do I need an employee? Well, there goes money, right? So don't just jump off the cliff.
Because you'll hit rock bottom really quick.
Yeah, I mean, you're producing a ton, Gary. And I've seen you debate multiple times about whether you go full time or don't go full time.
And the hardest thing, I'll tell people right now, I'm going to produce 2,100 geckos this year, and I'm still not full time.
That's unbelievable. I was hoping to break 300 this year, but I'm not going to make it. I'll probably be in the 250 range. But
what people don't understand is about half that 60% is wholesale geckos. I track the genetics; they'll be all raptors. Literally, I'll have 6 females, 1 male, all raptors, all bells, all this, and all that does is go to my mom and pop pet stores. Oh. That's all it goes to, and jobbers.
Poppy's here. I got to let her in.
Okay. So that
Papacita.
He's a puppy.
Come here.
I love this.
Being insubordinate again.
So excited. So excited.
I'm going to have to write her up. You're on a final written warning. Come here.
That's so awesome. See, Big G's is a big animal person. Look at the puppy. The puppy is awesome. I love it.
Her shirt has donuts on it. Like she needs another donut.
She does. She does. Donuts are good. Look, it's so happy. So we got a question here. Which gecko?
Good one.
Wow, I love this and want to pursue this. What gecko just blew you away that you got into?
You're not going to want to talk about black knights.
Yeah, I'll talk about black knights.
I'm kidding. I know we so that's a cool thing, right? Is we talk about it. Yeah. It's probably twofold. It's Handy Dandy just knocked over the studio lights. That's why we don't let her in here.
Well, you know what? You wanted me to refill your beer, and I didn't want to be obvious and come by.
This is a family show. It's water.
Is this where her theory of being more organized comes in play?
Well, she tripped over the cord.
I love this.
I have 2 big studio lights right here, which I probably shouldn't have because I'm sweating and I'm all shiny.
Look, I'm doing the same thing. I have 2 studio lights just like you right here. Then a green screen.
I need makeup. Probably the first gecko that I saw that really blew me away was a super giant. I was like, oh my god, that doesn't look like, that looks like a dog. I mean that thing.
You do giants, right?
I don't anymore.
Okay.
And so I did get into super giants, and we have a whole show. We're doing a Luna Live with Kevin from Mutant Geckos.
Okay.
And George from Elite Geckos over in the UK. Both of those guys are big super giant guys. We're doing a Luna Live. I think it's July 18th. We'll talk about all kinds of stuff, but we're focusing on giants and super giants. My issue with them was at 3 months old, they were 45 grams, and they were out of a baby bin in an adult bin. And then you really couldn't capture full. This goes back to a business concept. You couldn't capture full value for them until they were really big. So, if I'm handing you a 15-gram animal and I'm like, Gary, I promise it's going to be 150. You're like, get out of here. I'll give you $100 for it. Right?
He knows me. Yeah, he knows.
And so, from a space utilization, they were killing me from a productivity standpoint because they were going in adult racks instead of baby racks. And then from a profitability standpoint, I had to hold them for a year before they were big enough for me to actually capture full value for them. So I love them, but it was a business decision, which I can turn a tangerine. That was handy dandy. That wasn't me. I can turn a tangerine in 3 months for $300. Why do I need to wait a year to sell a supergiant? So
you brought it up. The food. People don't think that we're producing these are free.
Yeah.
I actually figured it out.
I figured I would come liven up the party, but I can't hear anything, so it doesn't work.
I figured out that it takes me about $6 to $7.50 to get a gecko sellable. Yeah, it's caught in electricity, my time, food, everything. And people don't understand that. I will say this, and a ball python people are going to kill me. I swear. Inch per square inch, leopard geckos can make you more money than ball pythons.
I don't disagree with that.
Now, everyone's going to say, well, I can get a $100,000 ball python and breed it and make $50,000. Go do that.
Yeah,
I'm saying overall,
or it can refuse to eat and die, and you're out. You're starting from 100 in a hole. So,
Leonardo,
you know how big of a gecko business you can start with $100,000.
Oh, geez.
And even if 10% of them don't produce, what do you care?
Oh, geez. You can make a lot of geckos.
Yeah. So I'm with you. That's a lot of stuff people don't think about, and most of these people, especially the younger folks, which is awesome, and I love it. We need
new blood.
We need new people, but it's a big difference from you're on mom or mom and dad's dime, and you're using their electricity, and you got it going in your bedroom, and when you have to move out and pay for your own car, your own insurance, your own rent, and you have to pay your electric bill, you're going to keep track.
Yep.
Oh,
These things are running 90, 92 degrees, 365 days a year.
And they keep taking that juice.
Yep.
Leonardo asks if is a giant recessive. Do you believe it's a recessive gene, or do you think it's incomplete dominant?
I actually think it's polymorphic.
I'm not the one that said it, guys.
I absolutely do not. I absolutely do not believe that it's recessive. I think it's polymorphic.
I agree with you. I think it is 100%.
I mean, if I breed Shaquille O'Neal with Bridget the midget,
you're gonna get big. You're gonna get big people.
Yeah. So anyway,
I agree with you, and I put it that way because I have 110 gram animals, males. They're not giant.
I have tons of animals that are between 80 and I don't know. Yeah. I seem to gravitate, even though I'm not working with super giants, I still like big, especially males. I just like bulky. So I have a ton of breeders that are in that 80 to 110 gram range. Because
we breed to what we like, even if we don't know we're doing it. Like if you look at my breeders, I have a lot of striped tails because I like the striped tail stuff. So I'm producing more striped tail stuff. And that's what's really weird about leopard geckos. You can breed for almost anything.
It's bad when Gary looks at the stuff I produce and he's like, there's that striped tail popping in there.
We got geckos.
Look at this guy. This guy's name is Mr. Mellow. He is not a giant. He is not a super giant.
And that's a big gecko. How old is that one? 3?
I produced him. I'd have to look. I think I produced him in 19 because he bred in 20 and 21. So yeah, he's a 19 production.
Because first
year, white and yellow Tremper.
He's a pretty boy.
He's got those cool. You see how he's got those cool like circles on him? They were outlined in tangerine. He's faded a little bit since breeding, but
we're gonna do this. Let's see.
He was really cool at first.
There we go.
Yeah, the lights are a little harsh on him. Let's see if. There we go.
He's a pretty boy. He's a big boy.
Yeah, I'm gonna drop him on the scale. I haven't weighed him.
He has 3 hands, guys. Look, now 4 hands. How do you have 3 hands?
He's running away. That was handy dandy. He's running away, but he's as cool as can be. This guy weighs. He weighs 102 grams.
See? And you said no giant. No giant.
No giant in this gecko at all. So, I mean, look, you're right, Gary. It's just you start to like them, and I just like that big, bulky, meaty look.
That bulldog head. I call males bulldog head.
Yeah. Here's another one real fast. This guy's name's Thomas. He's not a giant. He's a white and yellow Max Snow.
That's a big gecko too. Look at that. Look at that neck and head. Look at that. That's a pretty gecko.
Yeah, he's a super cool boy. But here, let's drop him on the scale. I bet he's he's about to get away.
He's got to be tipping 100.
He's barking at me. 97.
Oh, so close. That's a big boy though.
And neither one of those guys are fat.
No, and they look good.
But I could keep going. There's more and more of those, but it's anyway. Hopefully Ron doesn't have internet connection in Costa Rica. I think it's polymorphic.
Well, me and Ron talked about that. I've been talking to Ron about geckohistory.com, and I told him, and this is how he said it. He goes, I believe it's recessive with the way I worked with it. And I'm like, okay. But I told him about white and yellow because he says white and yellow is line bred.
I disagree with that.
And I'm like, dude, I produce so many white and yellow. There's no way. It's not possible. And I'm like, if you believe one is not poly, but this is poly, something's wrong there. And then he said he talked to Steve. When I tried to talk to Steve about it, he kind of sidestepped it.
Have you ever been bit by one of the big geckos like that, the big males?
All right, I got to take these away from her, like that child. We're putting her in timeout.
Poor handy dandy.
I've had him turn. My super giant. His name was Bimbo. My breeder male super giant.
Bimbo.
His name was Bimbo, and it's a funny story. It was actually my dad's nickname. My dad. All the old Italian guys have nicknames, and the theory is it was so for FBI wiretaps they wouldn't be able to figure out who was actually talking. That's why all these mob guys have nicknames.
Okay.
Well, my dad wasn't in the mob. He used to go to the Italian social club every Friday, and they'd eat spaghetti and play pinochle. But they thought they were, organized. Anyway, but they all had nicknames, and so I named that super giant Bimbo because my dad was a big guy. So I named him after my dad. See ya, Wally. And he was 138 grams. He was. I never actually got a good measurement. Everybody always asks you how long your gecko is. Good luck.
I don't know how they're measuring them.
Yeah, you know what? You need like.
Sniff
You
it.
need like a channel or something with marks on it.
Oh,
and drop
see,
them
he's
in
drinking
it,
milk.
right?
Oh, I don't drink milk, but hold on a minute.
And but he had to be he was over 11 inches. I don't know exactly how long he was, but he was a big boy. 138 grams. He'd bump 142 or so in the off season.
So he was pushing that. He was pushing over 140.
Yeah, he was frequently between. He was 138 to 142 was kind of his his playing weight. And a couple times he turned on me when I was picking him up, like he was coming, and I was like, "Oh, this is gonna suck." But then he just put his nose on my finger and like pushed it instead of actually bit me, and I was like, "Oh, thank you, man, thank you."
It's when they get you right here that really gets you, like right here or right here. Yeah,
I had one bite me on the knuckle, and when he bit me, he did a crocodile roll, flipped.
Oh,
put a big chunk off my finger.
You know what's funny is I have a couple of these males. There's a male fat tail that prior to this breeding season, this is my 3rd year breeding him. Prior to this breeding season, I could put him on his back. I could rub his belly. He was like a teddy bear. And this breeding season, he's psychotic. So on cleaning days, he starts giving me the wiggle, and he'll bum rush me. And fat tail breeding season's over. And even today cleaning, I didn't want to pick him up, so I took his hide, turned it upside down, and I made him walk into it, and then I put him over.
Let me ask you: what do you like? Do you like breeding leopard geckos better than the fat tails, or which do you prefer better?
I like them both. There's much more variety in leopard geckos, so I think your possibilities with leopard geckos are more vast. But at the same time, and Gary could probably talk to this because, he was around in the early 2000s when leopard gecko like morphs and combos and genetics were just blowing up. I think fat tails are maybe right there right now where new morphs and combos and, people are going to start seeing new genetics pop out. And I don't know if they'll get the same. I doubt they'll get the same popularity because they're not as prolific. So they're a little harder to breed. They don't produce as many babies as a leopard gecko. And the problem is they eat crickets, and people hate crickets. So I don't think they'll ever be as popular as leopard geckos, but
they got orange though now. That was never thought to happen.
Oh, that's crazy. Yeah.
Barry Gardner.
See, I get in trouble with this all the time. I say a meal, but it's a mel.
Yeah.
Whatever. What's it called? Regional dialectical variants or so. I grew up in Pittsburgh, man. So I say crick and
crick.
My mom said whoosh instead of wash, and it means the same damn thing. So
that's what I tell people.
Water.
I pronounce things wrong all the time, like scientific names. I can look at a scientific name, know what it is. Have me pronounce it.
I hate scientific names. Every time I have to ship a gecko and I have to fill out the darn Lacey-Act sticker, I got to get my phone out to figure out how to spell it.
I think we all do that.
The macularis.
Does it have an I?
Yeah, I do.
Yes.
I do the same thing, and then I'm sitting there sometimes because I got fasciolatus crosses. I'm like, do I just put macularis or do I put fasciolatus cross with macularis?
I would just put.
I just put macularis. Yep.
The guy that opens the box is gonna be like, that looks like a leopard gecko.
Yeah.
So now with the New Caledonia stuff, do you enjoy that? I mean, a lot of people like the New Caledonia stuff because, like Gary says, you don't need much heat for those. Like that's the cave geckos are the same way. But do you like the New Caledonia stuff? Do you have a lot of New Caledonia stuff, or you just?
Yeah, you know what? The big thing on new cows. So again, my daughter was doing new cows. She had a really cool like super Dow, a couple super Dow breeders and a couple gargoyles, and I think what got me in. I used to be a fish guy, so growing up, I had. My bedroom as a little kid was just full of 10-gallon aquariums. I mean, I just had aquariums everywhere. And I think, and then later in life, it turned into saltwater and mini reefs and like very, decorative tanks. And I just like that aesthetic appeal. And it's very functional, works great. But there could be shoes in there, and you don't know what's in there. It could be tool chests, right? So what the new cows did for me, and it allowed me to, because we spend so much time in the gecko room that this whole wall is racks, and that wall, right behind the camera, and this wall over here is all bioactive vivariums. So I have that aquarium. I just natural plants and lights, and even though the new cows, you almost never see them during the day, but I don't know, it just makes the room feel better. And so I like them. what do I have? I have a 1-3. I have a 1-3 group of cresteds. I have a couple holdbacks from last season, but they're not breeding. So I guess it would be a 2-4 group if I counted the 2 that I kept from last year. I have a 1-2 group of gargoyles. Actually, just got my first gargoyle hatches ever. I named them Gary and Andrew. I named them after you guys.
So what's your favorite New Caledonian species to work with?
Eurodactylotes.
Oh,
I knew you were gonna, I was waiting. Yeah, I was looking at them.
I love them.
But that's the wrong answer. You're supposed to say you really like taking care of Gary and Andrew.
Well, you know what's funny is I don't know if this has anything to do with your personalities, but every time I open it up, Gary is I create like this T thing out of like PVC, like 1/2-inch CPVC pipe, and then there, So
Okay.
Gary is always up on top of the PVC pipe, and when I open the lid, he jumps out, and he's like gone. And Andrew's always like laying on the floor, like, "Where's the food?" So I don't know. Maybe I don't know if they're named appropriately or not, but
That's awesome.
it's been
Yeah,
pretty cool.
I can't produce a darn gargoyle if I tried. I just can't do it.
That's the biggest problem. I got eggs before. The biggest problem with bioactives is finding the darn eggs. So I'm really good at finding empty eggs, but no gecko, which means that, mom ate them.
Yeah,
So,
they went bye-bye.
yeah,
But
and
it's like
you can't just go digging through because the bioactive is full of plants. So
Yeah.
there's root systems, and
Yep.
it's hard.
well, I know, like looking for the little picnic gecko eggs, you got to sift through the sand. I end up breaking them because they're little hard-shelled ones.
Yeah, you said that the other day. I didn't realize.
Oh,
You
yeah,
picked
they're-
one up and you broke it like a chicken egg.
Like, oops.
That's crazy.
Yeah, they break pretty easy.
Good old Picta.
Well, that's one of the things I love about the Eurodactylotes. So right now I also have a 1-1 group of Saracenorum, but the female is not big enough yet, so I haven't paired them yet. So this maybe this year, I don't know, might be next year. We'll see. I'll try to add Saracenorum. But I have a 1-2 group of Velarde and a 1-2 group of Agricoli, and I have a 1-1 group. I actually have a 2-1 group of Occidentalis that I haven't paired yet because the female was a little small. So she's getting close. Maybe by the end of the summer, we'll put them together. But you're in your bioactive, you have your substrate, and then you have your moss layer.
Yeah.
Well, the gargoyles and the cresteds, they're digging all the way down to the drainage layer, right? Like and they're sticking them down there, like under the thing, and you can't find that stuff. Well, the Eurodactylotes, they lay them between the moss and the dirt. They don't actually dig into the dirt. So I lift up the moss like I'm lifting up the carpet. White dot, white dot, white dot.
That's kind of cool.
It's like collecting chicken eggs. You're like, oh, there's one, there's one, there's one.
That's awesome.
Now with the Eurodactylotes, how many clutches do you get out of them a year? Because they're tiny little.
They're basically this. I don't know. This is my first. I started getting eggs at the end of 2020, and I've been getting eggs all year. I think I have 12 Velardes hatched right now, like a bunch of eggs cooking. 12 hatched. I have 3 Agricoles hatched, eggs cooking. Haven't paired Occidentalis yet. They're basically a new cow. I mean, a crested will lay year round if you don't separate them.
Yep.
And so I keep them in a 1-2 group. So far, I've kept them year round. I haven't decided if I should try to pull that male out or not. But
I say if the females aren't losing weight.
Yeah, the females in Eurodactylotes are generally bigger than the male.
Okay.
So it's pretty obvious just looking you don't even have to look for the hemipenal bulges. You just look in the tank and you got 2 big dinosaurs and 1 little dinosaur, and you're like, all right, we're good.
That's awesome.
The other cool thing about these guys is they're out all day.
Okay.
Now they're I know there's a whole debate about is there really such thing as a nocturnal gecko, or aren't they really all crepuscular? And I don't want to get into that debate, but unlike other crested geckos, the Eurodactylotes are out. And now they use their camouflage and they hide in plain sight. So little dude will be like on a branch right up front, and he's like, "You can't see me," and I'm like, "Dude, I'm looking right at you. You know, you're right there." But he's just like hanging out. He's like, "Nope, you can't see me."
That's awesome.
They seem to bask. They're I have them on LED strip lights, and those Euros are always hanging out on the top branches during the day, as close to the lights as they can get.
So they like that UVA, UVB.
Either that or the heat or both. You know.
I tell people all the time, leopard geckos don't need it. I don't give all my leopard geckos, but I do have a trio set up with UVA and UVB. They use it. They do. I didn't get any more eggs out of them. That someone says, "You're going to get more eggs." I'm like, "We'll find out." I got like I did last year with them.
I have a retired female that I've been hanging on to. I just, she's one of the early ones, and I mean, nothing special, just, sentimental. And I want to get her out of the rack system, and I want to do a bio.
Yeah,
but I want to use that. I've never worked with that excavator clay. Have you ever done anything with it? So I want to try and build something with that excavator clay and see if we can make, some kind of cool, because it's not your typical crested, bioactive, right? It's not, it's not soil and moss and plants, and it's got to be more
rocky.
Yeah, more for a terrestrial animal. So I don't know. I'm going to try and make something out of I'm going to try. Yeah, I got to put that on the idea board.
And I see video. I see a YouTube video out of this.
Oh, I see another epic fail video is what I see.
Have you ever thought about getting Chihuahuas or Leachianas?
Yeah, I have. The biggest problem is that, and I've never had them. So the biggest in my mind is you can't just throw them together and off you go. You have to, there's that bonded pair. They could be pretty violent if they don't bond. And then when you get up to like Leachianas, somebody coined this. I don't remember who it was. But they called them Rhacodactylactylus poopalot or something like that. Like they are some violent poopers.
Yeah, I had a friend who had one, and he was showing it to me, and it was just a baby, so it wasn't really big. It was about 3-4 inches, and he's looking at it, and he turned it around to look at it, and it could projectile right in his face, and it was just a lot. I was like, that came out of that little thing?
Yeah, like everybody with leechies, like the whole front glass is always covered with poop. Now, I have my share, but I could take a magic eraser and 5 minutes before a show, I could just give it a quick one. But leechies, I think you're in there with like a belt. Like a belt sander, trying to get that stuff off there.
Yeah, that's funny.
Leechies are just one of them ones I keep thinking about. I'm like the size,
so cool.
Yeah, every time I see them, they're impressive. They're just like, oh, I want that.
Wally calls them a giant turd on a log.
There's a good guy up in Toronto. He actually bought a couple fat tails from me a couple years ago. What's Jeffrey's last name? It's Reptile Ledge is his company, but he's one of the preeminent Leachianas breeders in North America. He's you gotta look him up, Gary. His reptile room is one of the nicest reptile rooms I've ever seen.
Now I gotta look him up. That's gonna be sweet.
It's called Reptile Edge.
Reptile Edge.
I think I've heard of him.
And it's got to be a picture of his reptile room. It's phenomenal. You ever watch that show? What's the guy? He's that young guy. He's not that young anymore. He's like maybe 20 or so now. But he started when he was like, 8 years old. He started on YouTube, and he's got like, 700,000-800,000 subscribers now. He's got that reptile rescue channel. What the heck's his name?
Gosh, dang it. I want to say he goes by Herp or something.
Herp.
I know what you're talking about.
The Herp Afro guy?
Yeah. The young kid. I'm seeing him on closing. He's like,
Yes.
blank, and I'll see you next time.
Go herping.
Go herping.
Go herping. That's it.
Yeah. So he did this episode where you sent in pictures of your reptile room, and he evaluated them, and it was cute. I mean, it was like, I don't like the carpet. That chair's stupid.
I've seen those.
Right? But Jeff sent in his reptile room, which is like, it's the Four Seasons, man. and he gave him some crap about it. He is like, I love it. It's amazing. It's uniform. It's symmetrical. But what's that TV for?
That was his. Yep,
Yeah,
I've seen that.
You saw that episode?
Yeah, it goes, there's no couch in front of it.
Yeah. What do you do with that TV? You watch YouTube while you're cleaning poop, dude. That's what we all do.
It's like he's like the HGTV of the gecko world, the reptile world. I love it.
I look at it when he was doing that. I'm like, he's gonna rank people's things, and he's always like, "Well, I gave that one 2 stars, and I don't like this one as much."
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel bad, but it's 1 star, and he's so nice about it. He's like, doesn't want to be mean about it.
He's like, I don't really like this room, but the lady knows who I am, and she kind of lives close to me, so I'm gonna give her 4 stars so she doesn't kill me.
And he even says, like, my cage, his bearded dragon. I don't like that cage. It's not that good, but it has to be that way because it's, it's a rescue. I have to give the kid credit. He does take care of his animals. He loves his animals. And I was reading some of his comments, and people were giving him crap for buying off Craigslist. That kid went out and bought animals on Craigslist, nursed them back to health for months on end. And I mean, give the kid credit. He really knows what he's doing.
You know what? He says controversial stuff. Well,
who doesn't?
He says, yeah, well, the definition of controversial is not objective. It's subjective, or it's not. Yeah. It's not. Whatever. You know.
Yeah.
How many beers?
2. Only
5.
2.
10.
But if you, same thing we said earlier, if you don't like it, don't watch it.
Watch it. Yep.
Go watch something else.
Right? And I learned that I take things personal sometimes. I'm like, wait a second. And now I'm just like, whatever. It is what it is.
I think when I was 12, I realized that not everybody in the world is going to like me. So I might as well get over it. Just get over it now. And just.
I like your videos. I think your videos are just, it's.
Thank you.
You need to be a lot more subscribers than you have.
Well, we're creeping up. We'll see how it goes. I like this. I like to say I'm retired, and this is all I'm going to do. But I'm probably more. Yeah, I'm probably more than likely. She's free. I hid the buttons, and she went and found them. I'm probably more than likely in between contracts, so. I don't know. I guess these days in my career, I'm more of a casino mercenary. So I like building things, and I like fixing broken things. And
fix YouTube.
So if somebody shows up with a project that I can't say no to, I might.
You like fixing broken things?
I like.
You got a lot of broken things you can.
Not down here. You're not even allowed down here. I don't even know why you come down here. This should be no girls allowed down here. No shit at the table.
She told you straight up.
Yeah, that's good. Well, I've got there. Well, here's what's funny is that the house, we had like 22 windows in the house blown out in the hurricane, roof blown to smithereens, so massive water damage. Well, obviously the downstairs unit takes the bulk, right? Because all the water comes through the upstairs. Upstairs had damage, but downstairs took all the water. So they had stripped almost the entire downstairs was shipped. This house was built in the 40s, so it's not, behind the plaster is like shiplath.
Oh yeah.
Studs, right? So it was stripped all down to the shiplath. This was the only room, this gecko room, that there are 2 walls that they had cut out about, I don't know, I guess 2-3 feet of drywall. because that's where the water got to it.
Oh.
But the windows weren't blown out in here, and there's a bunch of water marks and stains in the ceiling because water had come through. But we just showed up from Canada, with 200 reptiles and all my racks, and I'm like, I got to get these guys plugged in. I got to get them. This was the only usable room in the entire, the 2 units. So this became the reptile room, and it's unfinished. It's not been painted. The carpet hasn't been changed. The drywall hasn't been fixed. The ceiling still has marks on it. Well, the rest of the house is under construction. This room really agitates her because she's like, the carpet is disgusting. And especially when we're on Instagram, because I'll accidentally angle the camera up and you can see the water stain on the ceiling, and she'll grab the phone. I'm like,
I was gonna say, if you would have never told me, I wouldn't have guessed it.
It's a hurricane. It's a miracle that we're
the house is there.
Yeah, that the house is even here. So
I mean, geez, oh, please, all the 20-something went.
Yeah, 22 windows, and they were those old windows from the 40s with the wavy glass and the wood, with the weights in the wall.
Yeah.
Well, none of them worked because they were 100 years old and they'd all been painted and stained, and but they were cool. But you can't replace that stuff. So the insurance company took every window in the house is out and brand new now.
They were gorgeous. Very sad.
Wow, hurricanes.
People talk about you accidentally drop your car keys and all your crested geckos drop their tail.
Yeah.
My crested geckos have been living in a construction zone for 6 months, and not every one of them has a tail. So
his are going to be them ones that never drop tails. They're built for it.
There was a lady did a video where she had a guy was residing her house, and she had a whole room full of crested geckos.
We should sell them for more, eh?
Yes.
And they did some trim work around the outside where they were going to hang the gutter at, and they shot a nail gun in, a couple nails, went up there, 11 of her geckos dropped her tail.
Yeah, I think I don't know if I saw that story or if I heard you tell that story before, but we've had so much construction here, like literally just on the other side of the door of the gecko room. So the house there's no basements here. Everything's because of the water table. I'm 20 miles from the Gulf of Mexico. So the water table, the highest point in Louisiana is 200 feet above sea level. So
yeah, that's not basement level.
There are no basements. So houses are there's newer constructions on slab, but all the older stuff's on piers. And our piers it's the crawl space is not, you're not getting under there. And we had from the ice storms, we had a main water line break under the house, and the only way they could get to it was to cut the floor out. And they cut the floor out directly on the other side of the door of the gecko room. So which is right up against all the crested gecko bioactives. So they're sawzawing and crowbarring, and I'm in the gecko room, singing lullabies and
please speak okay. And they're
they could care less. They could care less. Not a single tail. None of them even came out.
I have a similar story. Everyone says cave geckos drop their tails. Now, I know Andrew's got back into leopard geckos, but leopard geckos. I move them by their tail. That's what I do. I just grab them, move them by their tail. It's what they said. You can't do that with cave geckos. I do it with cave geckos all the time now. I do the same thing. I just pick them up, move them. And everyone's like, you can't, they won't drop their tails if you touch their tail. If you scare them, they'll drop their tail. So if you grab a gecko and squeeze it, it'll drop its tail.
Oh, yeah. You squeeze it, give it a pinch or a twist, But 90% of babies, when you pick them up, they're gone.
Oh, yeah.
And the only thing you have left is okay, I got you now, buddy. And they're just hanging there. They're like,
do you keep all your babies single too, right?
No, I actually put clutch mates together.
Do you? Because I do because of space.
Same.
And saying I do,
Same.
and everyone's like, "When do you separate them?" When they get 15 grams, if they're females, I'll sometimes keep them together. If they're males, are separated.
Yeah, so I'll keep an eye on them. A lot of times, what will happen is one of the two will rapidly outgrow the other one.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to separate them because he or she's getting out competed for food, and you got to separate them.
Yeah.
And then typically what happens before males, it's very rare that I still have 2 clutch mates left by the time, you know what I mean? Because once they reach 15 grams,
They're up, ready to roll.
I mean, they're either a holdback or they're going to a show or they're going on the website. And odds are, before they reach sexual maturity, there aren't 2 of them anymore.
You got the one.
Yeah, I have my holdback and one's been sold. So it kind of through natural, it's not natural selection, but through natural progression, I end up with only one. But
I think you're going to need more racks here soon, though.
I have 2. I'm out of space. So I got a lot of problems because I still have a ton of eggs in the incubator, and I do this math every morning because I get so every morning I come down here and I look in the incubator. I'm like, God darn it, I got to hatch. Because I only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I only have 8 open bins.
Ooh.
And I have like 100 eggs still cooking. So I have 2 racks. 2 more of these. These are the Vivarium Electronics VE6 racks. So
Them are nice, though.
Babies going. What I like about them is the versatility. So I can do those are 11 quarts across the top. The big ones that I showed you the male in, those are 23 quarts. And then the small ones where there's 3 across the shelf, those are 8 quarts. So those have babies in them.
Oh, that reminds me. I do know you do something different, and you move the females to the male cage, right?
I do, because I typically pair up multiple females at the same time. And so the reason I do it is they now have more space to get away from each other.
I've thought about that because I watched your video and you said that. And I'm like, wait a second. Yeah, he can put them females in there. They breed, and then he separates them. And he's not moving the male to 10 cages.
Yeah, so I'll take the females. So say I don't think I've ever put more than 3 females in it at a time. It's usually 2. Sometimes it's 3.
Okay.
So I'll take the females. I'll put them in with the male in the big rack, in the big tub. I'll leave them for a week. At the end of the week, because I'm on that 1-week cleaning cycle. So at the end of the week, I'll separate everybody. And then I'll wait 2 weeks for egg development. And if I have egg development, then that she's good. If I don't have egg development, from whatever females I don't have egg development, they're going back in. So he's naturally getting a 1-week or a 2-week break. I'm waiting for egg development. And then I'll just keep doing that until I start getting eggs. So one by one, females start dropping off the rotation because I got eggs.
Yeah.
I get eggs.
I actually like that idea. Is that something you just did on your own, or did you get that from somebody?
I don't know that I saw it anywhere. I just, I don't know. I gravitate towards bigger males, so I wanted them to have bigger space.
I love the idea, though.
I think when I first started, Gary, like everybody else, I'd put them in like a little 10-quart tub, and I would sit there for 2 hours, and I'd be like, "Come on, baby." I'd be playing Marvin Gaye. I'd have a couple candles lit, and I'm like, "Lock it up, lock it up."
Now you're like me. I just whatever. Just do your thing.
Unless I hear like murderous sounds, you're staying in there.
Because I'm thinking about your videos. I'm thinking about trying some of that with some of my males and trying that way. I'm thinking about doing it, and I'm going to see how it goes for me. I just like the idea of it because you're breeding your females, but they're still separated, and you're not moving the male all over the place.
Yeah, and then the female goes back into her bin, and any eggs. Now every adult female's in their own bin.
Yep.
So any eggs that show up in that lay box, I know where they're from. I know the genetics. So
if I love the idea. I meant to talk about that earlier too. I just love that idea, and it's your videos that was like, that's just intelligent.
See, we're done. We our YouTube channel is now over.
It's over. It's done.
Done. Never posting again.
And I think that's what people need to do is learn is watch somebody. And I always tell people, don't judge someone on their one video. If you don't like one video, watch 3 to 4, because you might not agree with something on one video, but watch 3 to 4 and learn. And I've been telling that about you. I've been saying, just go watch 3 videos. You're hooked. Everyone I sent to your channel, they're hooked.
Well, thank you. But I think Wally gives great advice on this. This is good life advice is never go to one person for anything.
That's right.
Unless it's money.
I gotta let my dog
call
in.
your
Hold on a
dad,
minute.
right? So, get information from multiple sources, triangulate that information, and use your best judgment and come up with.
Yeah, I mean,
there's no real right or wrong way. Like,
yeah,
people, I had a guy I used to work with, Gary, that out in Vegas, and he found out that I was doing this gecko thing, and he was like, "Hey," he goes, "I've had a gecko, I think for like 10 years. It was his kids, and then his kids went to college or lost interest, and now him and his wife had it." And he's like, "And I was on your website, and I saw, something about sand and under tank heat, and because I don't know what to do. I should change everything." And I said, "Well, what do you have?" He said, "Well, I've got him in a 10-gallon aquarium. He's on sand. He's got an overhead heat lamp, and I feed him crickets 3 times a week." I go, "How old is he?" He goes, "I think he's like 15 now." I go, "Don't change a thing. Just, keep going, man." So if he was 10 grams and you just bought him, we maybe have a different conversation here.
Yep.
Just don't, at this stage of this gecko's life, you're going to mess him all up.
Yeah, he's going to be like, "Wait, what?"
Yeah, he's 15 years old. Keep doing it.
Yep, he's on his final run. He's on the back 9.
Yeah.
He's on his back 9. When I watched your videos, and I tell Andrew this, I'm just like, the guy draws me in. I don't know what it is. Like, if you have a video, I'm like, gotta watch it. I just have to watch it.
Yeah, I haven't missed any of his videos either.
You're always one of the first to comment, so I appreciate that, Andrew. And Wally's a busy guy. Running the largest mafia organization in the central U.S. is takes a lot of time. So Don Wally's a busy man.
I love Wally to death. We always, for some reason, at Reptile Expos, we're set up catty-cornering each other, and at the last one, we caught each other pointing at each other. We're like, "Go over there." He was sending someone to me.
Hey, you guys had
awesome.
Yeah, he is awesome. You had Joe on,
yes,
from Venom Proof Cages.
Mm-hmm.
We did a show over in where was that? It was just south of Houston. No, it wasn't Conroe. Conroe, there were 43. We were number 43 on the waiting list for Conroe, and I'm like, how
wow.
Yeah, I ended up not getting a table for Conroe, but I was talking to a vendor at the heck was that show? It was she'll find it. It was a suburb of Houston, and I met Joe there and put him in one of our YouTube videos. But he's doing good, man. He just crossed 1,000 subscribers. I mean, he's getting it. But it was funny. I was talking to a vendor, and they're like, "You gonna be at Conroe?" And I'm like number 43 on the freaking wait list. There is a 0 shot I'm getting a table at Conroe. And I said, I was thinking about sending like Lori flowers or something. They're like, no, send her a case of wine. You'll get a table. So,
Stafford, Texas.
So I gotta, but I got one coming up. So that's one of the funny things about shows is, with COVID, everybody's booking tables, right? So unless you've been, living in the same place like you and you're on the circuit and the guys. I know the guys now, but hey, they run reputable shows and they're not going to just bump people and say, "Okay, like you're going to come up." We're booking tables for 2022 right now, or else you're going to end up on the waiting list. So right now, and they've been great. Like we have one coming up in, I think it's Beaumont. No, Beaumont we're out. Well, Beaumont we're waiting. We're still on the waiting list, but we have one at the end of August in it's called Bryan College Station, Texas, which is I guess about 3 hours from where I'm sitting right now. But I think the next, so I'm now in on that show, and I think I'm officially in on the September New Orleans show. But I'm on a wait list for Slidell. I'm on a wait list for the Beaumont show. I'm on. It's hard. It's hard to get a table.
Yeah, I like expos more than online. I think it's because I get to see who hits my geckos.
Yeah.
Like
it's fun. It's fun talking to people.
Yeah. Right? And I got to get I posted like 10 geckos up on my website. I think they're all gone already, and I haven't taken them down. I think possibly.
I have like the cart auto checkout function.
Yeah.
Like, I'll just be doing something, and then my phone will ding, and I'll be like, oh, somebody just bought a gecko. I never spoke to them. Don't know who they are. They're pros and cons, right? And I know people are going to give me shit about that because you got to interview everybody. You got to go to their house and do a wellness check. I mean,
you can't do that, and I don't even do that.
No, you
online,
can't do that.
I
give them all the information I can. I hope for the best.
Even at shows, you can't do all that. You got to talk to them and kind of figure it out. My favorite thing to do is I take my phone. Someone says, hey, I'm looking for this. Okay, cool. I go on live with them, and I talk to them one-on-one, and I go through my racks. Do you like that one?
Yeah, that's awesome.
Do you like that one? And I was like,
I love that. Easy. I had a customer ask me that about, 2-3 months ago, if we could do FaceTime and look at a gecko. And I was like, nobody's ever asked me that before, but that's an awesome idea.
It's probably my fault. I don't like taking
awesome pictures. Idea. Yeah, so I bring my phone down, I call, I text him and say, call me now. And we're hanging out, like pulling bins out and putting them on the table. And it was like being at a show. It was awesome.
Yeah, and that's why I do it. I hate taking pictures. I hate it because the geckos don't sit still and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, this is stupid. But I can just do this, and they open it up, and they're like, did you just clean cages? Oh, no, we're not in that rack. This rack's going to be dirty. Now I'll start pulling, see the poop in this one, but the gecko's good.
Yeah.
Because I clean like you. I clean like you did this week. I'll clean 3 racks one day, 4 racks the next day. And then I do all the breeders in one day. Usually on Sunday, I get up like at, 5:30 in the morning, and I'll work until about 5, 6 o'clock at night. And I'll just be doing cleaning on Sundays.
Well, you have I think I heard you talk about, you have a pretty interesting system where you have like a double rack setup, right?
Yep. So I got double tubs.
Yep. You take them out of a dirty bin into a clean bin. Mm-hmm. That's a great idea. I don't have space. I think most people lack the luxury of space for that. But.
Well, I gotta make a decision because the wife wants to breed tortoises now, and now I got to breed tortoise tables because they want to do redfoots and stuff. So I might lose that room down in the basement. Tortoise pens might be coming down here, so I got to figure that one out yet.
Yeah,
because we got sulcatas, breadfoots, cherry heads. We're looking at box turtles. I was like, where are we going to put these? Because you can't have this room. This is where my alligator lizards are, my cave geckos, the crested geckos, the leaf tails. And then I got my gecko room where Memphis is at, and then all the leopard geckos, anything that's going to be hot. Oh, man. I don't know what to do. I don't know.
Build another room.
I just need to get a building.
I kind of wish I had, because I have this whole downstairs apartment that, I could do whatever I want. I kind of wish I had a studio because, but then at the same time, you're conflicted because it's like you want to grab a gecko. I just grab a gecko. But it gets so darn hot in here that it would be nice to be sitting out,
in AC.
With like cool, maybe a nice plant back here and some studio purple lights or something. And
he's gonna gecko it up. He's gonna get a studio now.
But I don't know. People, it seems like every time I'm on a live, I end up having to grab something. So you wouldn't
Handy
have to,
dandy, just let it go. He's gonna do it. We're gonna get a studio.
she just said cannot.
Yeah, we're gonna do it. I think he needs a building, a 5,000 square foot building.
Too.
Yep.
Yeah, and then he can have an alligator. We can build an alligator pond. You guys can't, can you?
We're in Louisiana. I could just walk outside and find an alligator. So
I got the house. I got a house next door that we own that I do this with, but she tells me.
Oh, see, look.
And then I still keep him in the house, but she's always like telling me. She was just telling me today. It's all got to go next door.
yeah, that's where like when you do the woodworking and the wrap
That's
builds
just
and stuff,
downstairs.
that's over there.
Yeah, and it's got an upstairs also.
Yeah.
50 cents.
I should show off. I have an animal that many people don't know I have. I think Andrew knows I have it. I have a 5-foot Nile monitor.
That's a lot of money.
I've heard you talk about the monitor. I don't think I've ever heard you say it was 5 feet.
Yeah, he's about 5 feet. He was about 4.5.
Yeah.
About 6 months ago. He's about 5 feet now. He doesn't like people. But he will come up to me if I open up the door and I click. I go, or I clap my hands. He'll come up and run up my hand, and then I can hand feed him. But he doesn't like people.
That's really good.
What's that whole thing like? People, well, I think Brian, they do it at the Reptarium.
training,
like
yeah,
the whole ball training thing.
They're smart, and I do it with Memphis. I got Memphis doing it. It's just the color and the round. They know they're going to get food if they follow it. That's all it is. They use the monitors always are hungry, and I do it in Memphis. I got bites on my arm, like right there from Memphis. And it wasn't him biting me to be mean. He gets a snail, so they use my forearm to push him back in his mouth, and he bites down on me.
Well, he's not very big either.
He's
either,
about
is he?
maybe 20, 24 inches, maybe.
All right, well, he's decent size. How big do how big do they get?
5 feet.
They get 5 feet.
Yep.
Wow.
And they got that crocodile back. And they're just a big tegu. I tell people, they're like, it's just a tegu with a different back. They got a tegu head. They're really smart. They need water more than his cage is half water, half land. He needs UVA, UVB, and it's just a big lizard that eats snails. He will not eat mice. He will not eat pinkies. He will not eat snails.
That's pretty snobby, right? That's
yeah.
like escargot. Is
Yeah,
he
it's
French?
like French or something.
Yeah, he's French.
If I get escargot, as long as it's unsalted, he'll eat them. I can't feed him salted ones. And I've got Oriental places around here that gives me frozen chunks when they get them. Or I order cano snails, and he'll eat a whole can now by himself. He'll just eat them. And he's spoiled. He will not eat them out of a dish. I have to hand feed him.
Cano snails.
Yeah, and I literally have tongs, and I feed him. Then the now monitor, he'll eat rats. He'll eat anything. He don't care. We have a tegu, a red tegu, eat anything. There's lots of stuff I have. I have terrapins.
You have a bird. I hear a bird back there from time to time.
Yep.
I haven't heard it today, but I think when I've watched your what kind of bird is it?
Moluccan cockatoo. The big boy.
Those are so cool. Is it white?
Yep. Well, a pinkish. It's more of a pinkish because the Moluccan is huge, and they're more of a pinkish, but he is white on the ends.
Yeah.
He loves my wife. My wife can do anything to it. If my wife's not around, I can pick him up. If my wife's around, I can't pick him up.
I had always wanted one of those. What was the show? Columbo? Was it Columbo?
Yes,
Columbo. Yep.
Yeah. So when I was a kid and I'd watch that show, I'd be like, "Oh, I got to get one of those birds," and I never had one. So my daughter has birds. So she has a cockatiel. She had lovebirds for a while, but man, they're tough. They'll be looking at. I guess they're kind of like leaf-tailed geckos. They'll just be looking at you and then they'll just die. You know, and so she still has a cockatiel, but she added a conure, sun conure, and it is the loudest bird in the history of birds. I mean, that thing is unbelievable.
Get a cockatoo. Get a cockatoo. They say it gets the same decibel of a jet engine.
Wow.
I'm down in the basement, and the bird, when you guys hear it, is on the other side of the house upstairs, and you guys hear it down here. I used to be set up in a nice area where I wouldn't have to have a green screen. I had pictures behind me. It was a studio, and I was upstairs. But if he went off, I couldn't do nothing. Like, literally, I would try to do a podcast. I'm like, oh, can't do it now. And now I can do it. I'm in a basement, I don't have a ceiling at all. So like you say, there's no ceiling at all. It just goes up to the floor and rafters.
Oh, it's better. It's better than my ceiling. I got big water stains. If I had like open rafters, it would at least
be cooler.
It'd look cool. It'd be retro cool, like warehouse chic.
So that's why I got the green screen out. I was like, oh, we got to make that pretty. And I do something different all the time. You need to get a green screen.
I have one. I've done a couple of our videos have been green screen. I've used it for a few things. And then typically when I'm doing lives, though, it turns out that people want to see a gecko.
Yeah.
And if you have the green screen up, then you're like moving the green screen because. But what's about to happen, because we're making progress on the reconstruction here. What's about to happen is there's another room just across the hall here.
Okay.
That is almost 100% done. The only thing we're waiting on in that room is, me to get all my junk out and then carpet to be replaced.
It's not junk.
Well, Handy Dandy thinks it is, but I gotta vacate my stuff. New carpet has to go in. And that room's done. It's been painted. Well, it's been re-drywalled, repainted. All the electricals redone. And then this will be the last room that hasn't been hit yet. So I'm gonna relook, and that room's bigger. So so I gotta get everything out of here over to that room, so then the construction guys can come in and gut this out, fix the ceiling, drywall, paint, carpet,
So he can expand.
Yeah, well, it's cool because it has like a bulkhead.
Okay.
And what I'm thinking about doing is putting like a curtain rod or something up with my green screen on it, so then I can easily roll it down, roll it up without having to set it up and take it down.
See, always thinking.
Yeah, and then I can have studio lights and stuff. I'm thinking about, because my studio lights are on a tripod, and I always knock the darn things over. I'm thinking about mounting them.
Well, that's what's cool about them. You should be able to take them off the top, right, and then flip them.
Yeah, and you just put them up on like on a flange or whatever. Yeah.
I just bought 2 new tripods for lights at Goodwill for $3 a piece.
Holy cow!
I seen them, and my wife's like, "There's nothing on them." Like, they're for lights. I was like, "I'm grabbing these. They're so expensive."
Yeah, because your lights just have like a clamp or whatever.
Yeah.
As long as it fits on the pole.
Yeah, that's what I said. I was like, "Gotta do this." So, wow, I cannot believe it's almost 10:30.
Is it really?
Yes, 10:22. Yep. What time is it? You're in Central, right?
Yeah, same time. Same time as you.
Same bat channel.
Yep, 10:22. You're right on.
Yeah, man. I love shows like this. I was excited about talking to you, and there's so much. I'm glad I got that one, because moving the male or leaving a male and moving a female, I'm trying it next year. I wanted to tell you before I did it. I was like, I'm trying it because of you.
I think we barely talked about geckos, but
I know.
It was more. This was more of like bellied up to the bar,
Yeah.
Shooting.
We'll have to get them on again for sure.
Yeah, how I do it, and you'll understand this more. During the week, I work 60 hours a week. I run a cricket store, and then I come home and I clean. So, like, literally, when I sent you that message,
you get free feeders.
Yeah, see, there you go. Cricket phones. But,
I know. I know.
So,
I was gonna turn that into a fat tail joke, but I knew it was cricket wireless. So
yeah, and I ran here, emailed you, told him, and I sat here because if I would have got up, I wouldn't have been back here in time. I would have been in the gecko room.
I do have one question for you before we end this. What is your favorite morph to work with?
Yeah,
Did she hit the hype button? I like the hype button.
No, that was the dog, I think.
Was it the dog?
No, the dog's laying right here. She snores like that. In my early videos, you can hear her snoring, and people would message me and be like, "Are you okay? Is something wrong with your stomach?" And I'm like, "It's not a digestive issue. It's the dog." And so eventually and Handy Dandy she got mad, and she was like trying to go through the audio and edit out every time the dog snorts or snores. And I'm like, just leave it. It's our shtick. People know it now.
Puppy.
Yeah. So yeah, she's on the floor. She's snorting. I don't.
Black Knight. He's got some nice Black Knights.
No, listen. I love Black Knights, but I don't know that I would say it's my favorite morph, and I don't. I like unique stuff. So I like when that egg pops open and I look at it and I'm like, well, I've never hatched one of those before. So I guess the answer to my favorite morph is something that I haven't seen yet, and
the newest thing he's hatched.
And yeah, and even if it's not, it might not. It's don't get me wrong, it's not all 200 of them are the first ever in the world, but when it's a first ever for me,
that's awesome.
Then I'm like, that's cool, and I really like it. So I got a lot of Bell stuff going this year, and the Bell Tangerine radars.
You're making me smile.
You slip in the white and yellow on that, and you're like, holy cow, what's going on with that animal? And it's like someone spilled a paint can on it. And so they're unbelievable. I actually love rainwaters. My rainwater season is crap. I only had a 1-2 group. I have a pure firewater male.
That's right, you do.
Yeah, and he's through John, but through John he goes all the way back to like Tim, right?
Yeah.
So John traces that pure firewater all the way back to Tim Rainwater, and my original animals were from John. I've ultimately sold those, and now I have offspring that I produce.
That's awesome.
But I only had a 1-1 group of pure firewaters. My female egg bound, and she died. So I'm not getting any firewaters this year. And then I wanted to expand my rainwaters a little bit, so I brought in a white and yellow rainwater, which white and yellow rainwaters are kind of weird looking, but
they're different.
They're kind of pastel-y, washed out. But I wanted to see what that would look like with a firewater. What I've been doing a lot, what she ended up being egg bound too, didn't die. She passed them, but her season's over. So I'm going to get 0 rainwaters this year.
I just got a pair of rainwater eggs.
You know what I did this season is, and I've kind of been, I like taking ugly geckos and putting them together and see what comes out. Or I'll take an ugly gecko and something that I'm excited about, and I'm like, wonder what will happen if I put it with the ugly gecko.
That
and
makes
then a baby will come out, and you're like, "Oh, I didn't expect that. I didn't expect that." And then some of this other stuff that I think people are losing sight of, and I think, Gary, this is what you're working on with your whole genetics project, is a lot of these legacy or historic, morphs or lines. So I was able to pick up a pure Golden Gate gecko. It was a male. So I was able to pick up one of those sun glows, pure Marsha McGinnis lineage sun glows this year. Now I only had a male, so I'm not going to be able to create GGG stuff.
But you got that blood.
But I got GGG blood that, how many years did Marsha work on, refining that. So I take that pure GGG blood and I bred it to a Tremper, white and yellow Max Snow head eclipse. And I pumped out these geckos that look like, they look like you dipped them in acid.
Really? That's cool.
You're like faded. They're snows. The snow's more obvious than the non-snows, but I don't know. So I think going back and taking some of that pure stuff and then trying to take some of our new stuff and say, well, because everybody knows what happens when you take a GGG to a super hypo tangerine. Yeah. People were doing it 15 years ago, but nobody knows what will happen with a new generation morph cross back to an old morph, back to that old pure bloodline that was originally done. So I'm doing a little bit of that right now too, and pretty interesting to see what pops out.
I sent Marsha a white and yellow radar, or I mean, a white and yellow raptor. I produced. She got one of them off me. She's waiting for pure patties off me now.
Yeah, she's still she had that
dabbles.
pure patty line for years, right?
Yeah, she got all excited when I said I'm going for it, and she got excited. I've known Marsha. She was part. I mean, go back to geckoforums.net and my TRR days when the Reptile Room was just a forum, and I was just a rookie, young blood, like young blood into geckos. I was like, "Yeah, I got these geckos." And they're all laughing at me like, "Oh, we've seen that before, Gary." I hashed out my first snow. I am not joking. Funny story. Hashed out my first snow. I go to Kelly Hammock of Hiss, and I said, "Kelly, what is this?" She goes, "Gary, it's a snow." And I'm like, "Oh." I was like,
"It's not a first in the world."
Yeah, I was like, "Oh, look at this thing." And she goes, "Gary," and that's how I learned.
I probably sold 100 white and yellows that I had no idea what the heck it was because I couldn't figure out what the heck white and yellow was when it hatched. I'm like, is it white and yellow? Is it not white and yellow? I don't know.
Bell, you'll not have that problem. Bell,
Bell's pretty well. They're all pretty obvious now.
Yep.
But, 5 years ago, you're like, you're trying to look for the instruction manual. You're like, what is it? And I tell you, I was the absolute worst gecko sex determiner in the history of the world. We were getting ready to go to a show, and I'd have my daughter, and I'd have like 100 geckos, and I'd be like, "You got to sex those." And she's like, "Just sell them as temperature sex." And I'm like, "No," because I couldn't sex a gecko to save my life. Now I don't even care about bulges. I never look for bulges.
Females have bulge. Females will have a bulge.
Never. I use this.
There it is.
I use this, and pores don't lie, man.
And I try to tell people that because I have a Gem Snow possible het tremper. It's a male, but he won't breed. But if you look at him, you'll be like, "Oh, that's a female. He has pores. He has no bulges. I think he don't have them."
Poor
but he has pores. Yeah, he won't breed. But he fun.
Like in the locker room, the other geckos make fun of him.
I think they do. They're like, "What are you doing?"
He showers by himself. He's like, "I don't."
So I mean, I'm trying to reverse engineer everything. I'm trying, but Eclipse is my enemy.
Well,
Eclipse is powerful stuff.
Eclipse is everywhere. It pops out of everything.
Yes.
So even stuff you think's pure, you're like, "God darn it!" And
that's what Gary's always saying to me. Everything's good except it's Eclipse.
Oh yeah, then I gotta call. So I stopped telling people that it's het free. I'm now saying no known hets.
Yep.
Because I don't know. I haven't tested it to every possible thing.
It's hard.
It's hard. So, and then you'll pop something out, and then you got to go back 3 generations and fix all.
Yes.
It's such a pain. And we talked about a couple shows ago. I wasn't on, but I was in the chat. We were talking about the Black Knights, and one of the reasons I maintain the pure Black Knights. Yes, I love the pure black animal, but another reason is similar to what you're doing with this reverse engineering project. Is if you thought of black as a color on your painter's palette, and you want to put some black into a tangerine project, you don't want to start with a Black Knight cross that's head Eclipse, because now I got to get that out of there.
Yep, you're right.
If you want to start a project that sprinkles black into the project, you want a Black Knight that has nothing in it. And
you're 100% right.
So that's why I have them, and I love them too. And I've had limited problems with Black Knights.
You got yours directly from overseas, right?
My original breeding group I bought a 1-2 group direct from Ferry Zerman in the Netherlands.
Yours is pure. Yours
very
is good
creative.
to go.
Now, we did a live a couple weeks ago with Jay from Eco Geckos in the UK.
Yeah.
And he has pure Black Knights from Ferry, and he popped out a snow.
Okay.
With black eyes, and we have spent time with Ferry on this, and Ferry says, There has never been a snow in my building. There is no snow in this line. And so we're wondering if, some new random mutation of snow just occurred in the Black Knight. Now, what's interesting about it is they hatch with black and white. But unlike a typical snow, as they age, they end up being the blackest geckos in the collection. The white is gone.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying is truly snow is a melanistic. Sort of.
Yeah, because they hatch black and white, right?
Yeah, so
you're not seeing any. I mean, that's your indicator. You don't see any yellow, red, orange. Yeah.
Because I'll say this right now, charcoal and black pearl both had snow took into it because they were trying to get rid of that yellow. They were doing anything to get rid of yellow, and patty was used also because patties go through dark phases. They just do. Your normal patties, I could take my patty male that is I'm pretty sure I've bred it to so many females. It should be pure. It'll be dark. People think, oh, is that a Black Knight patty? No, it's just a patty. Give it a day. It'll be bright again. It just goes up and down.
Well, he you got to go back. You got to watch that live. He narrowed it, or he zeroed it back into a single male. Ooh. And he's now breeding that male to a Max Snow. If he pops a super, then we got Max Snow hiding in there, right?
Yeah.
So he's breeding it to a tug. Well, he's not going to see anything, but he's
with a tug or a jump.
Yeah, he's crossbreeding it out. If Ferry is 100% accurate and there's never been snow in his building or in his line,
it's another snow.
It's a new snow. Because the odds of replicating an existing snow is more difficult than the odds of a new snow randomly mutating, right?
Yep. So, I agree with you. Wow, that would make it 5 because you would have Mac, Gem, Tug, Albie, and then whoa. That'd be interesting. And if it comes from Black Knight, would it not yellow out?
Right now they don't. I'm telling you, that white disappears and they end up being they're voids. They're the blackest geckos. They're the blackest Black Knights I've ever seen.
Wow.
You can't even take a picture of them. They just disappear.
And that's why I try to tell people, when you're going after a gecko, look at the color and go after what you want. And wow, that's interesting.
I'm mixing black. I'm crossing Black Knight this year. I crossed them into Mandarin Tangerine.
Ooh, that's gonna be something cool.
Yeah, there was a guy that was doing. He's calling it the Ash Project, where he's doing Mandarin Tangerine, Noir Desirs into Black Knights. Now I don't want NDBE in there, but I'm trying to put the man. Now I got NDBE hiding. I'm trying to get it the heck out of the building, but it's not easy because my original Mandarin male was visual and my female was 100% het. So now I'm 4 generations in trying to get rid of it, but it's going to take a while.
Now, those Black Knights you were just talking about, are they the ones that when you look at the picture of them, it looks like somebody went in with a Sharpie and colored them in so you can't see them at all?
Go, Gary, pull up ECO Geckos. And he's in England. He's producing the best Black Knights. He has the best Black Knight male in the world.
Eco Gecko. They're fly fisher too, huh? That's not cool. Amazon Eco Gecko. Where's it at?
No, Eco Geckos on Instagram.
Oh, and Instagram. Got it. Done the
yeah. YouTube is like 40 some odd thousand subscribers. That's something completely different.
Paste.
ECO Geckos. All one word.
I'm gonna do that right now. And there we go. Joe and Echoes Geckos. ECO. No, this isn't them. Why am I not finding them?
Hold on.
I'm just seeing Joe. You're coming up. Seriously.
Really?
Yeah, ECO Geckos. And if I go on Instagram, I'm not seeing them.
All one word.
Yeah. ECO geckos. Let's start again. Let's just go ECO geckos.
I could send you the link, Gary, I think.
Yeah, I'm about to send you the link on Orner Exotics Instagram.
Yeah, cool. Let's see what we got.
I just sent it to you on your Instagram link. Or on Instagram DM.
You can't even see that gecko. That's how dark that is.
It's unbelievable.
Unreal. Holy cow.
I think he calls them voids, is what he calls them. Because literally, it's a black hole. I mean, not to be confused with a galaxy enigma, but I mean, there is no color. It's gone. He's producing some of the best Black Knights in the world. Arguably the best Black Knights in the world.
Then we can do this, make this a single screen. Them are black.
Yeah, look at that exanthic crested that he got. He bought that from A&E Geckos, from Brian.
Altitude Exotic.
Yep.
That's
cool.
Insane. Yeah, he's gonna get. That's an insane gecko. I like that one.
That's cool.
Yeah, I did a Black Knight into a gem snow cross. They hatched amazing. I don't know. We'll see how they turn out as they age. They're starting to yellow up a little bit.
Jesus.
I hadn't seen anybody try a gem snow Black
Look at
Knight
how dark
cross,
that is.
so I decided to try it.
Cloudeds don't get that black.
And I don't know. I mean, what's your theory on Tug? Is Tug and Gem really separate?
My personal opinion, no.
Yeah.
I think they're the same thing.
Yeah.
I honestly think they're the same thing. 100%. I don't know why they're separated, other than Tug is Canadian. And
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, and he says, "Hey, I could just do it myself." I think they're both the same. If you breed a Max Snow to either one, you'll get supers. But
yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, but if you breed them just Tug to Tug or Tug to Gem, you don't get nothing. I have gems here, and if I showed them to you, you'd be like, "Is that Gem or Tug?" That's your exact words would be. And all my stuff is Gem. I don't have any Tug in my building.
Yeah, I don't have any Tug. I went with Gem because what I was trying to do is, like, Gem seems to be more gray and black and white. And I wanted to take that into a Black Knight, and because the moon is black and gray and what I'm calling
that would be cool.
I'm calling it the Bella Luna project. So
I actually like that.
I can make. Yeah. I want to see if I can make a gecko that kind of looks like the moon. And I don't know. It's Gen 1. I think I've hatched 6 or so, but I think only 3 or 4 have been gems. The other ones are just Black Knight crosses, but we'll see.
Yeah.
That's probably going to take a few generations if it works, but
go for it though. That's what's fun about geckos. Like,
yep.
My whole thing with Clouded, when I bought it, this is really funny. Miles from Impeccable Gecko, I tease him all the time. He sold a group with 2 Dab Exotics. I went into a reptile expo when I first moved to Wisconsin, and I bought Dab Exotics whole table. I said, I want all this.
That was a good day. He's like,
yeah, he was happy. So I had this Eclipse group, 1.2 Eclipse. And he said that the male was a snow eclipse and the 2 females were not. Well, it turned out to be one of the females is a snow eclipse too. Fine. But when they bred them together, the regular eclipse were extra weird looking. They looked like they were cloudy. I kept them, bred them back. Kept them, bred them back. And now I have total brown geckos. They remind me of Black Pearl. And the ones with the striping and certain ones can be done outright. So now I'm taking that into blood. I'm calling it Clouded Blood.
That's cool.
That's the only thing I'm doing. I want to do it.
I like what blood does to stuff. Like I crossed a Mandarin tan part. I have some blood emerine stuff that I got from Barry that is all het free. And so I'm using that to wash out my NDVE. So I'm breeding those mandarins into that blood emerine stuff to try and help me clean that NDVE out. and they've been putting out some really cool looking geckos, man. I'm on Gen 2 of that.
I'm wishing you luck on that one. Get rid of NDBE.
Yeah, I haven't had. I mean, obviously, you have the infertility issue. If the female's visual, she's a dud.
Yep.
Which you can live with that because plenty of people can't have babies, and we still like them.
Yep.
The bigger issue for me was the visual issues that the males were having. So they were, they were having some eyesight issues and some blindness, and then you got to assist feed them, and they're gorgeous geckos, but what's the point? So yeah. So the green that comes out with that NDBE is it's like an army green. It's not an emerine green. It's it looks like army.
Keep it.
It looks like your Dos.
Seriously,
is that a Dos Equis background back there?
No, it's actually green smoke.
It kind of looks like behind me. I could see the X's.
Yeah, I was just gonna say.
It kind of looks like that.
Yeah, that there. I'll remove you for a minute. It's
Fauna radio.
That's what it is.
But doesn't it look like that?
Yeah, it does. That's awesome.
But that green color that's the green that you get when you have a visual NDBE. But the other problems are it's just not worth it.
It would be cool if you could, when you breed that out, if you can keep some of the emerine with your blood emerines. That would be really cool. Enrich that green.
Well, what I'm getting so far with taking the mandarin into the blood emerine is I'm keeping the emerine green and I'm getting this vibrant orange.
That's awesome.
It's pretty spectacular.
Yeah. That's awesome. I can't get enough of blood. Because I mean, you guys will see a lot of mine stuff come from Jeff of JMG, because he's the one that brought me into geckos, and I've held the original blood hypo, and that's why I say blood hypo.
He started the project, right?
Yeah, his dad called it blood hypo. It came from a super hypo tangerine carrot tail, but the spots on the head were there, and it was just a hypo animal, and it was this deep burnt orange, and now I guess banded animals come out. And now it's blood tangerine, I guess. But the original animal is the ugliest looking tangerine you'll ever see in your life. You'll be like, what? It's dead ugly. And then
I like the bloodline.
Charcoal. That's why the Black Knight thing is like, I have a video on go to JMG's YouTube.
You know what?
10 years ago, it was a charcoal just as dark.
It's life and it's business. Black Knight's a better name. The timing was right. And you know what? Does Nike make the best shoe in the world? Probably not. But if you wear a New Balance, you probably get made fun of. So, even though they're more comfortable.
Yeah, and that's what I was trying to say. That when I was talking to who was I talking to about that? I'm like, dude, there's like 5 other different melanistic lines.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, they're not new. They're just new to you. And
I just recently did a video on that too. Similar.
Yeah.
Is you talked about earlier what it costs you to feed a gecko and how much power consumption there is for a gecko.
Yeah.
That number is exactly the same if you're breeding $1,000 gecko or $100 gecko.
Yep.
So if I can make 1,000 or if I can make 100, I'm gonna breed $1,000 geckos.
That's it. I agree with you.
Maybe next year they'll only be 500, but still better than 100.
I honestly don't think. I think the dark animals are going to hold their value. I don't think people are going to drop. I think they're going to be like tangerine. The really good quality dark animals are going to hold value always.
Yeah, well, and there's people talk about the infertility issues. That actually helps suppress supply.
You're kind of right.
And keeps the price up.
Is that Handy Dandy there? She just said New Balance are the best shoes.
New Balance, man, because I got a wide foot. I like New Balance. So, but
yeah.
You're right, Gary. I mean, it's a supply. It's all supply and demand. It's a price elasticity curve. It's economics. So,
because
if it's super hard to produce English bulldogs.
Yeah,
you have to artificially inseminate them.
Seriously,
almost all the time. I actually
C-section them out.
You have to C-section them out because their head's too big and they can't actually natural birth these things. These dogs should not exist. They're $10,000 because it's hard. Well, if it's hard to produce a Black Knight and you only produce 3 or 4 of them, or 5 or 6 of them instead of 10, 15, 20 of them, you're naturally going to hold value. You're going to keep the price up.
Yeah, and I was talking to someone about that. And I was just like, I think it's going to be levels. There's always going to be levels of Black Knight. There's always going to be levels of Tangerine. There's always going to be levels of Bold. And they were like, "Oh no, it's going to kill the market because everyone has them." I'm like, no, it's not.
Not everybody has them. Everybody bought one and then bred it to 15 other things, and they're calling them Black Knights.
Yeah.
So,
and I agree with you there. I agree with you 100%. I'm excited about this year, though. I'm excited about next year. I'm thinking we're going to see some different stuff. And you got your pictures back there with your Black Knights on it. Them you produced, didn't you?
That's my original breeder female. Her name is Mata. She's named after Mata Hari, who is like a famous stripper from the Netherlands. Which
I love his names.
We imported Mata from the Netherlands directly from Ferry, so I named her Mata.
I love his names.
Oh, we got my headphones stuck. So this is you're gonna like this one. Tangerine Bell Radar that I produced this year.
Wow. Bro, dude, look at the head.
Yep, amazing.
Isn't he cool?
Dude.
He's holding that lavender really nice too. He's probably 3 months old now.
You have the best of all 3 worlds right there.
I'd never so back to your question, Andrew. I'd never produced a gecko that looked like this before. So I'm like, oh, that's what I get excited about when I see something I never had before.
He has a horseshoe on his head, everything. Look at that.
Isn't he
That's
cool?
a beautiful animal.
Yes, it is.
So he's going in the breeding rotation next year.
I was gonna say that better be a holdback.
Yeah, he's already in an adult rack. The other thing I did is I took, again, part of trying to get that NDB out of that Mandarin line is I took a 100%. I don't have any visual NDBs anymore, but I still have 100% het male.
Okay.
This will be his last season because I went from a visual to a het. Now I got to go 66% and 50%. 20, right? I got to get, and then I'll hang on to the 100% guy because after I get 2 generations in, I'll start taking those females back to him and see
what you got.
Yeah, because at that point he's 100%. If they're 100%, a quarter of the animals, 1 out of 4.
Yep.
I'm going to pop 1 out of 4. If I wish I still had a visual male because then I'd get 50% and I'd find out faster, but I don't have a visual male. But
I'm rooting for you though. I'm rooting for you to figure that out.
I want to get it. And once I figure out I don't have it anymore, then I can stop. Right now I tell everybody I'm 66%, 50%, whatever. I don't want anyone to get surprised with it in there. But one of the other things I'm doing, so I moved them into the Blood and Marines. I also crossed them into the Tangerine Tornado line from Craig up at Urban.
Yeah, how'd that go?
Pretty cool.
Oh yeah, now we're gonna see something.
Now we're gonna see some stuff. Yeah.
Oh, you can see it already, dude. I've seen it already.
Now this gecko is a bit of a jackwagon, so
I love that jackwagon. I love it. I just love this.
The cool thing about babies is they think they're bad and they try to bite you, but then you're like, yeah, whatever.
Dude.
You see him holding that green in there?
Yes.
Yes.
And he's really, really bright. Look at that tail.
Yep.
I think you got something there.
Now, I have no idea what's hiding in here. I don't know if Craig's stuff has, he says it's het free, but I got to test these out. But
you have a foundation there, though. You have a foundation.
Yeah, I've hatched 3 that look exactly like this. This just is the oldest one.
That's insane looking.
Isn't that cool looking?
Yes.
The carrot tail on that's pretty nice too.
Yeah, and look at the green hanging in that pattern back there.
And that's what, 25 grams?
Yeah, he's probably every bit of 20. I mean, I don't scale holdbacks because
They're going to be holdbacks.
yeah, they're holdbacks, so I don't need to scale them. I only scale stuff if I'm going to put it up for sale and people want to know how much it weighs.
I tell people when they ask me, I'm like, it's breedable, it's not breedable. I go, it's breedable.
Yeah. So I don't know. We could do a whole nother episode just going through the bins over here. I currently have. I probably have somewhere between 20 and 30 marked as holdback right now. It doesn't mean they're going to be holdback. It just means I'm not willing to sell it until it develops a little bit more, and then I can 100% confirm sex. Now, once I see it at 25, 30 grams, I know if it's a male or a female. Then I can sit and look at them all and say, okay, that one I need. That one I need. I have 2 males. That one can go. So some of them are going to go away, but those late season releases are usually where you get the best geckos because
that's the ones that you were thinking about the whole season.
Yeah, it was a holdback for 6 months, and then you realize 2 of them turned out to be male. You don't need both.
Yep.
So
I have a holdback issue. I try to hold back too much.
Yeah.
I'll admit it. I do it the whole time.
I'm hoping my racks come in this week, man. I ordered them. I ordered them in 2011, and they're not here yet. So
what?
It feels like it. It feels.
I
like
was gonna say seriously.
That's what I was gonna say too. What the heck?
it feels like it. They don't even respond to my emails anymore. They're like, no, you get
They're
it.
like, we don't like you anymore. We're done.
Well, you can't find freaking PVC, so they've already told me. They said it's going to be a different color, a different finish. So they're going to be black, but they're not going to be this shiny, glossy black. And they're like, you can cancel your order and wait until the PVC. I'm like, no.
You need the space.
I have 8 open bins. I have 100 eggs. I don't care if they're purple. Send them.
Yeah.
So
he's gonna get purple ones. He's gonna.
I care. I'll put them right in the middle. So I don't care. I'll paint one of them yellow, one of them purple. Will be for LSU. We'll put them right in the middle.
There it is.
So
There you go.
I'm starting to worry about contingency planning. So
He's gonna be stacking up just tubs on top.
well, no, I think so. I have an old arboreal rack that has 456, like the big. They're either 56 or 64s.
Okay.
What I think I'm going to do is, and there's crickets in 2 of them, and there's dubia colonies in the other 2. What I think I'm going to do is I'll start putting babies in 50 or in 6 quarts, and I'll just start stacking them inside those 56 quarts.
And keep them warm.
Keep them warm until my rack gets here. But I'm almost same exact thing happened to me last year, and I panicked. And I went out and bought like heat cable and a little cheap thermostat. And I'm like, I'm going to rig up an IKEA shelf and I'm going to use 6-quart tubs. And so I buy all this stuff, and then I do a reptile show and I sell like 30 animals. I'm like, oh, I don't
need it.
Yeah, I don't need it. So, but I don't have a reptile show coming up until the end of August. So I gotta get these racks in. We're in trouble.
I got you beat. I have one at end of July, beginning of August, and then I have after the end of July. It's like every 3 weeks I have a show.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and
I've seen your videos from the show. I mean, you're loaded up, man. It looks like it's like a field of geckos.
It was funny at the last 2-day show I went at Show Me. I had geckos up, and then my table was about halfway empty. And the next morning, I had it fill again. And I was like, I thought you sold geckos. I'm like, dude, I had boxes under here. And
backstock. He's restocking.
Yeah, and I have to do it. I had to make a decision. If I'm producing this many, I got to move them. And people think, oh, you make this much money per gecko. You make this much money. Like, no, when you produce more, you got to lower the price of some. You have to move them. If you can't take them home, you can't. So at the end of the show, I'm wholesaling to like the pet stores there. I'm like, hey, you want 20? You want a 20 lot of what? Here you go. That's what I do. I'm like, here you go. And
I think the first show I ever did in Vegas years ago, the way they do their shows is they have the first hour's VIP.
Okay,
so the general public's not in. And then so the VIPs come in, and it was mostly like pet store people, right? And some lady from like Utah that owned a pet store like bought like 10 animals, you know. And now I've got an all day Saturday, all day Sunday, and I'm small. I'm like, I don't have anything left.
I'm Big G. How you doing?
You just go home. So
I do that when I need to buy something. When I used to buy and resell when I was with Professional Herpiculture, I used to own that with my brother. I used to go to people, and if I had like jungle carpets and they had jungle carpets like 12 on their table, I just like, how much you want for the whole table? Go home early.
Yeah.
And I used to do that all the time. And now it's always with something else. So like if I want cave geckos to breed, I'd buy all their cave geckos.
Yeah, I see you're doing cave. They're cool. I really like them. So maybe one day. Maybe one day.
They're addicting.
Are you doing Chinese?
Yeah, Chinese. I don't have the money for the Japanese right now. So I like them. The babies tend not. I had to get crickets and I had to get dubia small enough because they didn't eat mealworms right away. So I had to get other wigglers, I call them. And then once my adults, I just throw mealworms in there like the rest of them. My alligator lizards I got on mealworms now. All the babies are on mealworms. I got to take pictures. They're about doubled in size now.
That's awesome.
So yeah.
All right, boys. We just break the internet record for the longest live stream in the history of live streams?
I think we did. I think we need to go to sleep sometime.
Yeah.
So, all right, guys. I appreciate everyone tuning in, though. Any last words from either of you?
I'm gonna hit my hype button.
All right, guys. We are outie.